Dear Naruto Lemon fans, I'm thrilled to invite all of you to my Boosty channel, where you can enjoy exclusive Naruto Lemon scenes in a comfortable and supportive community. Choose from various subscription tiers, from Mini Lemon to God Lemon, and gain access to unique content tailored just for our fans. Plus, subscribers to over Naruto Lemon and God Lemon will receive special mentions in my videos. Support my channel and dive deeper into the world of Naruto today. Dare! Uzumaki Naruto found himself taking residence in a world of heroes and villains. Shortly after passing on and leaving the elemental nations behind, the blonde soon came to learn that just like the Sage of Six Paths, his powerful chakra allowed him to transverse through the veil of realities, as chakra as a force was connected to not only nature and elements, but the force of life and death itself. After centuries of training and tutelage, he found himself coming to master the techniques and teachings of his predecessor. Not one for solitude and boredom, the blonde had taken off on his next grand adventure to help those in need, and he found himself picking one of the most cosmically troubled universes of all time. It was that famous Naruto luck. As such, he found himself running a shop, one of the occult and strange. All matter of artifacts and tomes along with rare jewels and tomes would find themselves in the blonde's hand. Whether from human or terrestrial hand, the blonde would relieve them of these dangerous items, keeping them stored away unless he found noble individuals who could put them to better use. After all, that was what allowed him to meet Zatanna and by extension the Justice League. A charter member, he was always willing to help when contacted. A young woman with ashen-colored skin and mid-back length violet hair that shined like the faint glow of the moon. She was wearing a blue outfit, something akin to a long dress skirt with slits that ended several inches below her thighs, along with what seemed to be black shorts underneath. Her features were absolutely exotic, and he had to admit he found her rather enchanting. She would come and go buying books, ancient books, or those that dealt with mystery, suspense, horror stories by authors such as Edgar Allan Poe and the likes. She sometimes even bought an artifact or two. So the young miss returns yet again. I took notice of your purchases and I might have something you would enjoy, he commented as he placed new books on the shelf. He went to behind the counter and pulled out an old tome, worn out by time, its outside felt of ash and its words possibly order. I do believe we have never have exchanged names. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, if you don't mind me asking for yours. His customer seemed to hesitate for a moment before finally answering him with a short introduction. My name is Raven. His mysterious customer finally introduced herself. Raven. She answered him. Her gaze continued to linger on the books she picked out, her very posture gave off a closed, defensive posture. A lovely name, he complimented her. Your total will come out to $78.45. He said as with a wave of his hand he used a control burst to send the old tome to the pile Raven carried. He noticed that the young woman was mildly surprised by the display. Apparently, she wasn't used to running into others with powers, or at least in this city. So, you have powers? Isn't it dangerous casually displaying them like that? She asked as Naruto chuckled. Nope, I've been around a long time and can take care of myself. Anyway, I am not the only one who hides it well. I sensed you were different the moment I met you, Miss Raven. I'm curious about what you can do or who you are. And upon noticing a flash of alarm pass through her eyes, he finished. There's no reason to fear me. None of us can help what we are born into or our origins, he finished as a gunshot was heard from outside. Not again, he said as he dashed outside followed by Raven. A young teen, no older than 16 or 17 with shaggy blonde hair and a plain white t-shirt was waving a gun about. He then fixed it on a woman with brunette-colored hair wearing a dress skirt and top who looked to be in her 40s. Stay back. I'll do it. I swear to God I'll do it. Now calm down, son. Put the weapon down. The cop tried to reason with the kid. He was a young officer with a tall solid build and makings of a mustache in a dark blue uniform. A look of annoyance formed on Naruto's face as began making his way outside. Wait for H. Raven was interrupted as Naruto glanced back with a casual grin. Hey, relax, Ray, I do this sort of thing all the time, he said before exiting the store and shouting out to the cop, getting his attention. Hey Ray, I see that like always you're the only cop on duty. Naruto, the man sighed. Why is it that wherever there's crime going on you're always nearby? Naruto snorted and shrugged his shoulder. If I know. The gypsy placed the curse on you, not me, he said before he body flickered behind the teen and Roundhound kicked him in the back, freeing the hostage and forcing him to drop the gun. Startled, the woman took a second to collect her thoughts before running to the safety with the police. Ray's partner made a dash for the perp and began cuffing him, reading him his Miranda rights as Ray retrieved the gun. Pleasantries were exchanged between Naruto and the cop before he led Raven back to the shop. Fast was the only thing the Hanyu could think of. He had quickly and effortlessly disarmed that kid. True, the kid was a normal human, but the fact that Raven couldn't track him, only sense his aura, was rather startling. She had heard how powerful some of these heroes on Earth could be, but seeing it was another thing. Have you ever thought about being a hero? She simply asked him. She wasn't sure how powerful Naruto was, but anyone at all would help in her quest to put together a team. I'm sort of already am one, well sorta. I'm mostly a humble store owner nowadays who from time to time helps the Justice League. Raven couldn't believe her luck. The Justice League. She had heard about them. If there was anyone who could possibly stand up to her father, it would be them. Say hypothetically, if someone was a mage, how would you counter them? Well, if it was an elemental mage, he paused for a bit, I would take away their source of power, such as bringing a water mage away from any pools of water as soon as I can. If the mage needs to chant in order to use her abilities, then I would use some kind of projectile junk substance that isn't easily removed by hand or surgical tools in her mouth. If the person is capable of levitating things, then if I had gravity abilities I could just negate them. Now for other abilities that aren't easily countered, if I would have to fight a mage, I would draw her to a place where the person couldn't have the ability to teleport by constructing machines or an energy field that would negate it. As for psychokinesis telekinetic abilities, those are tougher. One would need a strong mind and similar abilities in order to fight off such effects. That's all I can put together so far. Though when you think about it, some mages are so intertwined with their powers it's like they put a part of themselves in it. When putting their power in an object or person, that mage becomes it, and they become a part of that mage, he finished as he started to think about some of his old friends. Raven wasn't sure what she felt at the moment. She didn't have much interaction with people besides the monks on Azarath. Her mother had died when she was young and Raven couldn't express her emotions without fear of her father's influence leaking through. It wasn't every day that you find out you're the daughter of a powerful demon. She wasn't used to having intelligent conversations with people. She wasn't aware of the scopes of Naruto's abilities, but from what she surmised, Naruto could levitate and could either teleport or had super speed. Anyway, I'll be gone for about 3 weeks. I have some business to take care of, but there will be someone here to take my place. Just tell them that you're a friend of mine, since I'm going to give the order to hold certain books that you have expressed an interest in. Well, there goes my last $5, he said as Raven raised an eyebrow. Well, Ray, I'll just see you then. Ray? He had called her that not too long ago. She hadn't really noticed it before, but now in this calm situation she couldn't help but focus on it. Well, since I consider you my friend, I figured a nickname was in order, he said as he opened the desk and retrieved his keys. Friends? The subject seemed foreign to her. She talked to other people but not much. She wasn't sure if she was considered their friend since she kept to herself. Well, we can be, I hope and would like that, he clarified as he tossed the keys up and down in his hand, causing a bit of jingle. We can be friends if you want, she answered him. Ray? Well, got to go then, Ray, catch you later, he said as he finished ringing up her books and closing down the store. In such the friendship of Naruto and Raven had begun and developed. He came across her one day at a tea shop and decided to greet her. "Jasmine tea, a good choice," the blonde said as he sat on the opposite side of Raven. "I finally caught up to you, Raven." "Oh Naruto," she said, marking her place in the book with a bookmark. "Did you get the list of recommended books?" "I did, I enjoy them, though I'm curious, how did you come across those other books? It's not something that an ordinary person should know about. Let's just say I'm not ordinary." "We both know you are not ordinary, but some of those books are dark in nature for most people, even mages." "I know. You have your secrets and I have mine. You tell a few and I'll tell a few. That's how the exchange works between friends. Though let's not worry about that now. How about we just enjoy the day?" The girl, Raven, seemed to have made it a weekly habit to visit his humble little bookstore. In fact, it was night time and two were leaving when rampant destruction was being caused, which drew their attention. 000. Across the street, standing on the roof of a parked car, is a spiky-haired teen dressed in dark colors. He was solidly built in terms of being lean, wearing an infinity-style mask that masked his face. The one causing the destruction was very beautiful, if not also very angry. Her hair was long, fiery red auburn reaching down to her waist. Her skin an exotic and natural shade of orange, and her green eyes with light green scaras were currently filled with fury. Also, she was wearing tall, her outfit consisting of a metal headpiece, thigh-high boots and an armored top and skirt of dark colors. Regardless, the newcomer dressed in all black would not be deterred by this alien beauty. "Who are you?" the vigilante asked. Instead of answering, she comes up with a leap that carries her all the way across the street, leading into an asphalt-wrecking downward swing. He jumps clear in the nick of time and touches down in a backward skid, but one roundhouse after another forces him to keep bobbing and weaving. As the fracas works its way down the street, the camera cuts to just inside the mouth of an alley. A blue-cloaked figure, its hood up, stands with its back to us and watches the vigilante leap high over the alien and sling a handful of grenades. "So you sensed it too?" Naruto asked as Raven dropped to the roof of the building. "Yeah, what's going on?" "Someone crash-landed and now we have some Batman's apprentice Robin trying to fight her." Seeing Richard here and not in Gotham was definitely a shock. He had seen how bad that hole was and it could take all the help it could get. Unfortunately, Batman was a bit stubborn about how things were done and didn't condone killing, even though there were those like the Joker that deserved it. This was also why Naruto didn't try to become a full-time member of the League. Sometimes for the good of the innocent one would have to compromise their own morals if it meant saving and protecting the lives of innocent people. "Any plans?" Raven asked as she noticed the blonde wasn't as quick to jump into the situation as he was the other time. "I think we should just observe them for now," he took notice. "You mean, just let them tire each other out?" Raven asked as Naruto nodded and smiled at her. "Pretty much." The grenades explode in the alien's face. Out in the street, the smoke from Robin's grenades cannot quite hide the luminous green pinpoints of the fighter within it. The column evaporates to expose her fully. Hooking one foot under the chassis of a nearby car, she effortlessly kicks it up several feet so that it rotates to point its nose toward the ground. When it is an inch short of splattering its innards across 20 yards of asphalt, she boots it toward Robin, who throws himself flat to avoid catching it with his face. The car sails in a low, level, lightning-fast trajectory down the block and explodes against the building at its end, and Robin stands up to eye the spot. "Stronger than she looks," he murmured to himself. He faces forward, eyes popping again, just as the alien pastes him hard across the jaw. A flash, and he skids all the way to the trashed pizza joint, only to find her jumping in for another hit even before he can get to his feet. Nothing but air this time, as he dives away, pulls out his fighting staff, and extends it to full length. This time he is the one on the offensive, landing a headshot propels his adversary into a car parked 50 yards or so away. He steps up, he brandishes the staff again, but it suddenly crumbles in his hands, having been shivered by that crushing hit. Huh! The furious alien extricates herself from the fresh wreckage, then throws Robin a malicious little smile while working her head around to loosen up her neck. "Zoda," was all she said as she came back for another jumping strike. Naruto suddenly appears between them and catches the punch. He twists and throws her into a building. "Looks like you could use some help." Coriandar though recovers from the attack. She moves to the nearest object and strains to lift it over her head. "Well," was the only thing Naruto could utter. She was definitely stronger than she looked. The object was none other than a school bus, which she slings toward the two boys. Before the object could impact, it was caught in mid-air, held by some sort of black energy. It's then sat down as Raven flies down. She seems pretty feisty. The alien stood amid the new stretch of debris and walking up after a moment's pause. The old resolve returns to her steps and face as she approaches, and she brings both arms up and delivers one thundering blow to the pavement. All three teens are nearly dumped flat by the tremors. Just behind her feet, as the hand ends of the restraints fall free at last, dented and smoking. The forearms of her cuffs are still firmly locked on. When she points her hand straight ahead, the energy of her pent-up starbolts flickers to life. The trio starts in surprise, whereupon the alien uncorks a machine gun fusillade that punches into their position and throws up enough smoke to hide them entirely from view. One long, tense moment later, they charge out of the haze and she starts strafing them by one. The trio race through the hail of green blasts. Now the alien starbolts rip into the surrounding buildings, parked cars, a neon billboard, and everything within at least half a mile. The final salvo fills the screen with smoke and flames, which drift away to expose her in close-up. After a few seconds to catch her breath, she slumps to her knees, pulled back down the street, where Robin has taken cover behind the smashed bus, now set on fire due to the starbolt barrage. "At this rate, she'll destroy the city," Raven stated. "I won't let her," he shocks his fist into his palm. "I won't lose this fight," Robin declared. They come out running but get barely 10 yards down the street before a black energy barrier springs up to stop gargantuan, screeching bird shape of Raven's soul self. "Maybe fighting isn't the answer," Raven stated. They turn toward her. She glances off to one side and dispels the apparition, leaving Robin with a clear view of the kneeling Coriandar. Smoke is still drifting up from her hands where they touch the pavement. "I think I know what just calm her down. You two wait here," Naruto said, taking out an instrument, making his way over to the girl. Naruto managed to get the shackles off her. The alien massages her freed wrists wonderingly. "No." He gets no farther, as she drags him to herself with one hand and kisses him long and full on the lips, causing him to drop the pick. The two in the background's eyes widen, one in surprise and the other in surprise, and if asked she would deny but could have only been jealousy. When the blonde snaked an arm around her waist and began kissing back, the alien was caught off guard momentarily. She broke away, trying to push down the pleasant tingling sensation she was feeling. "If you wish not to be destroyed, you will leave me alone," she spoke in Japanese. With that she took off, gaining enough altitude to disappear into the night sky. Well, that happened, he thought as he turned back to the others. "Robin," he greeted. "I guess you found the answer to that decision after all. What do you plan on doing?" "Sage, I appreciate the help, but I have things to do. Like tracking down that alien to make sure she's not a threat. If you really want to track her, you might want to stay. I can track her quite easily." "Naruto's right, I suppose. The three of us together would be more effective," Raven suggested, but the vigilante rebuffed the offer. "Sorry, but I just went solo. I'm not looking to join a team," he stated as he took off. If it was his plan to avoid becoming like Batman, he still had a lot to learn. "You coming to Ray?" "I have nothing else better to do," she countered as the two of them took off. "Coriandar, what mess have you gotten yourself into?" the tired alien warrior thought as she made her way to the outskirts of the city. Unknown to her, that was the bad part of town where the scum was located. Lost in a world unfamiliar with her options limited. For now, she would look for shelter. The Gordanian ship from which Coriandar landed on the countryside. Ha, Gordanians, such vicious and unintelligent creatures. The humanoid figure as he held up the head of Trogar. He couldn't let some fool of an alien creature come here and mess up his plans after all. Once I capture the Tamarinian girl, I suppose I can plan a takeover of both species' worlds. Meanwhile, at Naruto's place. So what are we doing here? Raven asked as she looked around his home. This place was pretty nice. The style was that of mostly semi-ancient Japan with modern appliances. It's getting late and I figured you would like a place to stay. I know you didn't want to stay in that run-down old apartment of yours. Raven was shocked at this bit of information. How did he know she lived in an apartment, let alone its condition? Wait, how did you know? You smell of coffee and fast food, meaning you were a waitress. There are not many jobs you can get without a degree nowadays, let alone a high school diploma. Any well-paying job without those would be you essentially selling your body and you carrying yourself with far too much intelligence for something like that. There are other things like the fact you're trying to keep your identity on the down low, meaning you've recently come from somewhere out of town. You also only seem to express the emotion of serenity, the most neutral of emotions, which one would, in fact, translate in some uncommon languages as one without feelings. Need I go on? She frowned at the end of his line of questioning. Sorry, Never mind, I'll stay. Do you have a guest room? She really did not like that crappy apartment. Yeah, just go upstairs and on the right. The bathroom is downstairs on the left and the kitchen is on the right. If you need anything, I'm down the hall from you, the last door on the right. I suggest you get some sleep. We're going to see an old friend of mine tomorrow morning. Right, well, good night then. Good night, Ray, Naruto said as he exited the room. Morning soon came and Naruto was up and ready to tackle the new day. That began by visiting an old friend. Building the team Part 2. Oh come on man, you owe me. You wouldn't even go out in public until I convinced you that what you think is the only thing that matters, not what other people say, Naruto said from the other side of the partially open door. Okay, but you want me to help you hunt that an alien chick that can throw buses? Yeah, I think not, a teen, African-American answered from the other side of the ajar door. Come on Victor, think about it, you'll become a hero, think of the swooning ladies. Yeah sure, women loved shiny eyes and metal chest plates. I told you that we'll be able to find a way to fix your situation. I've been looking into it and I know I'm close to an answer. The door opened completely. Maybe I should go, Raven said, feeling a bit uneasy for some reason. She didn't have anything against the cybernetic teen. In a way, she felt for him considering what she was. But his appearance was less human than hers. Come on Ray, don't go, Naruto pleaded with her. Well, what do we have here? You didn't tell me you were bringing your girlfriend, Naruto, Victor teased the blonde. Raven's eyes widened as an unfamiliar feeling overwhelmed her senses. All the light bulbs in Victor's house exploded. What the? My light bulbs? I just replaced them this morning, the cybernetic teen stated in distraught. Aha. That's what yo, cheap ass get for buying a brand no one ever heard about. You know what, go away. Alright, I'm going to remember this. Remember it, write it down, take a picture, I don't give a. Door slams in his face. Sorry, I shouldn't have come. Raven apologized as her lapse of control was what blew up the light bulbs. Naruto sighs as he walked off the porch. No, it's not your fault, the light bulbs thing was just a freak accident. The blonde remarked with a shrug of his shoulders. That was my fault. She admitted as she began to explain the cause. My powers react to my emotions and things tend to get destroyed when I feel. If Naruto was bothered by this admission, he didn't show it. Right. Let's go get breakfast then, on to the next person who owes me. It was the next day and so far not much progress had been made. Naruto decided to see if Raven was up. It took him a lot of insentience, but he managed to get her to spend the night at his place. Of course, she took the guest bedroom as that would have been the proper thing to do. He got up, took a shower, got dressed and went to the guest room. Raven was already up and thinking of the previous events. Anger, fear, confusion, panic, were just some of the feelings Raven had sensed that night. She didn't feel any evil within the strange girl, but that didn't mean she wasn't dangerous nonetheless. Just like she was dangerous, but then why? What was it that kept her around Naruto when she usually distanced herself around people? Being what she was, she shouldn't get involved with people. Hey Ray, I'm making breakfast, then I'll be gone for a few hours. I'll leave a message on the kitchen table that'll tell you everything you need to know about this place. I'll see you then. To say Raven was confused to no end was an understatement. Didn't he think something was odd about her? Why was he leaving her alone in his house? The place was proof that the blonde had some money. She would eat, lock up if she could leave. Koreadnar woke up feeling drained. She had broken into a few candy stores and other convenience places, raided the food. She ate, and ate, and ate until she was satisfied. Now she felt cold and lonely. What was she going to do in a strange foreign world without any means of contacting her people? Sometimes it didn't pay to be her. In a small suburban hamlet in the eastern United States was an area known as Hatton Corners. It was colonized sometime in the 17th century by one of the city's founders, Jacob Stick. Jacob Stick leased the entire community to the town elders for a most unusual price. Once a year, the elders were to pay the Stick family one feather from a passenger pigeon. As the town grew and the original founders died off, the local leaders chose to ignore Stick's strange demands, and the surviving Stick family members received nothing. By 1913, the passenger pigeon went extinct and it became impossible to procure its feathers. In the late 20th century, the last known surviving member of the Stick family, Bromwell Stick, returned to his hometown after living as an outcast for several years. During his exile, he had discovered a Native American medicine cave on nearby Goat Island, whereupon he found a shaman's medical staff. A mystical staff that grants the user ability to control the elements. With these new powers, Stick decided to reclaim what he felt was rightfully his and now decided to create an identity for himself. He settled on the name Mr. Twister. Mr. Twister was in fact on his way to address Mayor Corliss to demand that the town elders recompense the Stick family for several generations of unpaid. Fate had a different plan in mind. Bromwell Stick dressed in 17th clothing, including a green shirt, a black colonial hat, and dark green/black boots. If anyone were to ask about his last whereabouts, they would inform the person who asked Goat Island 11 p.m. at night. You know, I should thank you, the voice ranged out, causing Mr. Twister to jump slightly. He looked around and saw no one there. I have been away for a long time. Such a long time that most of my power has left me. Unfortunately, I'm not strong enough to absorb all the power even with my special technique. I think that I'll go with the fire. Who are you? Show yourself. It doesn't matter who I am, you'll be dead in 2 minutes, the figure emerged from out of some blue veil of energy. He was tall, 6 feet 5 inches in height, and he was definitely an intimidating figure. His hair was blacker than the night sky and his eyes retained a color red comparable to the flames of itself. He had the build of a mercenary with a single 3-inch scar under his cheek. He wore an all-black armor with strange ruins all over them. Even with all those unusual features, his teeth stood out. Sharp and deadly, looking like razors. We'll see about that. Mr. Twister shouted as he created a twister rising high above the ground. A minute 27. We'll see about that. He created a massive twister that enveloped the stranger. The twister tore apart the ground, sending grass and dirt flying everywhere. As the twister receded, the stranger stood that as so much as without a scratch. How? 18 seconds. The figure disappeared and reappeared behind Mr. Twister. Wrapping his hand around the man's throat, he spun and threw the man to the ground with a sickening thud. The figure dropped to the ground and moved over to the downed Mr. Twister. A second figure appears out of a pool of darkness formed by the shadows. "Alkino the Devourer, so you are still alive," the black-cloaked figure stated. Alkino ignored the individual as he shoved his hand through the back of Mr. Twister. The sound of gushing was heard as blood dripped out of Mr. Twister's mouth. Alkino ripped the man's heart through his back, causing some of the bones to bend backward and stick out of place. "Whoever you are, I'm busy. If you're looking to enlist me for your services, I'm not up to it right now. He, Alkino the Devourer, I will be in need of your aid in the future. What form of payment would I need?" "Powerful individuals, you know of me, so you know I require powerful individuals to become whole. Oh, I guarantee you that you will get to devour all the power that you can acquire in my services. Whatever, come find me when I've become stronger," Alkino said, taking a bite out of the heart he ripped from the bleeding corpse. This was one of the things that gave birth to his nickname. In Jump City, California, Naruto was on his way to the market. While he was walking, he was reading a paper. Professor Silas Stone, Eleanor, and his son Victor Stone were involved in a tragic explosion in a lab in downtown. Doctors informed that the only way Silas's teenage son will survive is that the professor makes prosthetic body parts and organs to replace what was lost. Victor Stone is currently in a high-security hospital, currently in a coma. Naruto looked up as he thought he heard something. The paper was old, nearly 7 months old. He looked back at the picture of the stones and continued reading it. The woman known as Eleanor had died in the accident. It's not like Naruto didn't know all this, but Vic wouldn't talk about the accident or his mother. Next thing he knew, 3 cop cars sped by. He knew something was up, so he started to follow them. As he made his way to the scene, he caught the whiff of numerous scents within a single point of origin. The scents were clustered together in a way that it was impossible, short of the scents being involved in an orgy, for them to be closed. He hoped they were wrong, since most of them were of various animals. He traveled through the littered streets until he came across an unusual sight. There, on newspapers by a cardboard box, was a green human being. He was underweight for his age. He looked to be about 14 years of age. He had pointy ears, and also deep within him one could feel the spirit of the animal. He was wearing a purple, black, and silver suit. 2 hours later, Naruto was closing his wallet with a sigh. The boy had literally cleaned out the salad bar and fruit section. It was all you could eat for $10, but the boy ate so much Naruto had to pay for the extra food. Gulp. The boy finished and let out a sour burp. The boy definitely needed a bath. The restaurant, for the most part, was empty, so the two can talk in peace. "My name is Naruto, and you are kid?" Something about him seemed familiar. He paused a moment as to think about it. Beast Boy. The fact that he went with a code name instead of his own was a tidbit Naruto filed away in his mind. "I see. I'm going to have to go back home and get some more money for groceries," he murmured as a loud explosion from a nearby bank alarmed them. It was then he remembered the cop cars from before. 000000000000. After using her abilities to lock up the house, Raven had teleported to a place deep within the city. Her powers were for the most part based on darkness. She had to find a place where she could relax and keep in control of her emotions. From a young age, she was tutored by the monks of Azarath to keep full control of her power and emotions. That at all times Raven could not express emotions like happiness or anger out of fear her demon father Trigon would manifest. Though of course, Raven was no fool as to why she was sent to this planet. With her mother and her main teacher Azar dead, there weren't too many people willing to keep her around because of her heritage. Next thing she knew, she sensed the same familiar fear from the other night. It was the alien girl again, but the fear was subdued and came from the slums. Raven followed the source and had found the girl asleep in a worn-down apartment. The walls were cracked, littered with filth and old garbage. The alien girl laid crouched in a sitting position against one of the walls. "You again, from last night? Why are you here? Have you come to fight?" glowered Coriandar as she rose a few feet into the air, her hands glowing with green energy. "I haven't come to fight," Raven replied, also having knowledge of the Japanese language. "I am merely interested as to why you were tearing up part of the city last night." "I had no intention of destroying this city. I was merely trying to get free from my confinements." "Why are you in this world? Where did you come from?" "I am the second daughter of King Mayandar and Queen Luandar of Tamarin from the vegan system. I was taken prisoner by the Citadel, my people's enemies. I was able to eventually escape and made way to this planet." Raven's teachers were extremely strict in their studies. She was informed a bit about each race. The Tamaranians are well known as a golden-skinned or to some orange humanoid species that descended from a feline-like race. They were also known to traditionally worship the goddess Zal. "What about you, stranger? I have some questions of my own." "Very well. What is it that you wish to know?" "The same that you asked me. My name is Raven, I am from a world known as Azarath." "Not very talkative, but you seem nice." Then out of nowhere Starfire demeanor changed. "Let's be friends, Raven," she spoke in English. Raven raised an eyebrow. "Apparently, you know more than Japanese." "Indeed, my people have the ability to absorb another's language upon touch." "So that's why you kissed Naruto." She didn't know why, but she felt a bit relieved. "Well, yeah, that, and it's more fun that way," she said with a smile. Raven found herself annoyed. "Good for you. I'm just coming to make sure you won't cause any more trouble. It would be far too annoying for me having to find a new place with affordable pricing and a new job." "You didn't answer." "I don't plan on to." An explosion was heard nearby. The bank. Raven sighed because she was supposed to pick up her paycheck tomorrow and cash it to pay for rent. Sometimes she wondered if things would have been better if she went to another planet. Meanwhile, back to the others 10 minutes later. "Oh, come on, admit it, you think the idea of being a crime fighter is awesome," Naruto tried to urge the cyborg. "Work with me here, Vic. You're insane. If I become a crime fighter, I'm 5 times more likely to be shot." Victor alluded to his skin color and, well, statistics. "Didn't you tell me the same thing, but instead you said it was because you were black?" Naruto countered, calling back to an earlier conversation. "My point was proven," the cyborg stated. "No, it doesn't. That doesn't make any sense at all." "Now you get my point. What's with the little string bean?" "Hey! My name isn't String Bean, it's Beast Boy." "Come on, Naruto, you don't need the Robot Man remake, I'll form a team with you." Victor gave Naruto a look. "You have a strange little dude as a companion. Fine, I'll give it some thought." Naruto, sir, weren't we going to the place of the explosion like 10 minutes later?" "Right, first one to beat the villain can eat anything he wants to the loser's expanse." "I'm in." "Me too." Alkino stood amongst the mangled body of several police officers that valiantly tried to defend the bank. Crimson blood covered the street as limbs were littered, everyone. He looked up towards the sky and disappeared into a column of flames. Naruto was the first to arrive at the new scene. He took a whiff of the blood and caught an unknown scent. "Hey man, if you're going to invite me for stuff like this, have the courtesy to wait up." "Sorry, Vic. Where's?" Naruto started to ask as a green hummingbird landed on the ground and morphed into Beast Boy. "Right." Then out of the sky appeared a black orb of bubble-like energy. As it dissipated, it revealed the forms of Raven and Starfire. "Ray, you made it, and you caught the alien girl, huh?" He had to stop himself from licking his lips. He could still taste her and he couldn't help but wonder if there were a few more languages he could teach the redhead. "Caught? No more along the lines of not leaving me alone," she dryly replied. The alien Starfire dropped down to the ground. Human, briefly she paused trying to remember his name. Naruto, I would like to formally thank you for aiding me in the escape of my confines, she said with a slight bow. You're welcome, miss, but we don't have time for a talk. He trailed off only for a burp containing blood vapors to catch their attention. Yeah, that. The carnage of the mutilated police bodies had everyone save Naruto lurching their stomachs. Seeing death in the way he had made things like this easier to stomach. Freeze. They all turned to see a masked teen wearing a brightly colored outfit. Wah, oh God, he said, turning slightly pale upon seeing the bodies. While dealing with maniacs like the Joker, he was used to massacres, but he didn't have the luck to mentally prepare himself before happening upon this scene. What happened? Before Robin could answer his statement, a person appeared behind Naruto. Look out! Behind you! Move it, man! Naruto heard the shouts and spun to come face to face with the perpetrator. Something about this man was different, almost frightening in a sense. The malice rolling off of him was insane. My name and introduction are useless, as you'll all be dead before long, he said, summoning a ball of fire. He let it loose as the blonde at the last minute performed the replacement jutsu with a brick. Hold on, I got him. Victor, no. Naruto shouted out as the metallic teen charged the man. He rammed right into Alkino, sending him into the side of a building. The side gave away from the damage as it came down and buried the devourer. Man, I didn't mean, Victor stammered in shock. He didn't mean to kill him. The crumbled debris was destroyed by a powerful burst of fire. Four twin streams of fire circled around Alkino's arms. Metal, huh? Well, I can't devour that, so I'll guess I'll just melt you, he said, raising his arm and raising it at Victor. Alkino's raised arm was then met with several birdarangs in the arm. The others were closing in and fast. On second thought, I got a better idea. Alkino stomped into the ground, causing an impact on the ground. Picking up a piece, he leaped out of the way of some incoming star bolts and maneuvered in the middle of the teens. He tossed the debris at Robin, who threw an explosive charge. Alkino ducked under it as it went towards Raven, who threw up an energy shielding blocking it. Beast Boy charged at him in the form of a ram, who he easily jumped over. Pointing his hand in the direction of Starfire, he let out a burst of several star bolts, which she maneuvered out of the way. Beast Boy then morphs into a jaguar and attempted to tackle him. Alkino caught the teen by one of his paws and flung him at the Boy Wonder, sending them both crashing into a nearby dumpster. Giving a mighty battle cry, Starfire let out a powerful starbolt that went right through Alkino. It exploded a few feet before Victor. Hey, watch it! He shouted, momentarily distracted. Alkino took the opportunity to send a blast at a nearby car, causing the teen to be sent flying by the force of the blast. Azarath Metrian Zinthos. Raven had decided to take the murder's apparent lack of focus on her to drop a pickup truck on him. Though when the truck connected, Alkino turned into wisps of fire. He appeared above her and axe kicked her towards the ground. Before Raven could hit the pavement, Naruto appeared and caught her. He let her down and turned towards the devourer. With that, he leaped into the air when Alkino dissipated from sight. Naruto landed on the roof of an old purple building. Alkino appeared out of wisps of fire on the opposite building. Trying to discern what I've learned. As expected of Uzumaki Naruto. Next time we meet I'll be prepared, Alkino remarked as he exploded into a mist of blood. Naruto dropped below where the others were gathering. What the? Was that? And how did it know him? Hey man, what the? Where were you? Observing the enemy, Vic, jumping in without knowledge of one's enemy can get you killed. He not only has the power of fire, but he may only have an ability to use mimicry. By his build and demeanor, he works or worked in a field where he has killed many people. Also, he's smart enough to know when to pick his battles and when to run away. A frustrated groan caught their attention. A woman in her early 30s and platinum blonde hair stepped out a police car. She was attractive with long legs, decent-sized chest and modest hips. She could turn more than a few heads, but her strict attitude and stern gazes would make the most confident of men think twice. "Hey there, Ally," Naruto said with a nervous chuckle. "Don't you hey there Ally me, it's Commissioner Daniels," the woman chided the blonde. "Care to explain why members of my squad are dead, buildings destroyed, and cards are wrecked? I have no idea what you and your friends were trying to do, but you caused vast amount of damage to the city, more than enough to put a sizable dent in the city's revenue. How bad is it?" he asked as he tried to fight the dread brewing in the pit of his stomach. 3 buildings, 12 cars, the damage was done to 2 streets, 6 office buildings, a bank, a pickup truck, a bakery, and several traffic lights. There's no way you can hold us accountable for the bakery or several traffic lights. Us? Yeah, about that. I only dropped a shabby pickup truck and that's about it, Raven replied dryly. There was no way they were going to pin that much property damage on her. Regardless, I myself personally didn't do any property damage. Naruto insisted. I'm broke. Beast Boy added sheepishly. Commissioner, this looks bad, but I assure you. Robin tried to negotiate but was cut off. Enough. Excuses be. Ed. Either you guys pay for the damages or get thrown in jail. Your choice, and trust me, I'm really hoping for the latter in Naruto's case. Naruto sighed. Times like this I hate my life, the blonde said as he took a scroll. He unsealed it as a bag dropped to the ground with an audible thud. He opened it and it showed to be filled with diamonds and other jewels. Everyone's mouth dropped upon seeing the sight. First and foremost, Naruto was always a shinobi, and if one had an opportunity to nab some treasure while on a mission, that they'd be a fool to pass up on the opportunity. A few minutes later, Commissioner Daniels left with the bag of jewels. Naruto invited everyone back to his place. He knew that this Alkino person or creature was dangerous and forming a team would be imperative in fighting him. Everyone wasn't sure about the whole joining the team aspect but was willing to come back to Naruto's house to relax. Currently, Naruto and Victor were in the kitchen. You're telling me with all the money you have that you haven't bought a car by now? Vic, I can travel faster than a car on foot and avoid the traffic lights by scaling rooftops. Trust me, a car isn't impressive for someone who can travel at hypersonic speeds. And when you pick up a lady for a night out, where is she supposed to sit? Your muscles. Naruto glanced at his arm, then back at the cyborg. Alright, I'll let that one slide. That was pretty good. Anyway, I've been studying some of the techs your father has and the applications for it are incredible. You're not going to give up, are you? No, you already know I'm as stubborn as they come. Come on, let's go join the others. They joined the others in the living room when Beast Boy suggests they all get something to eat. The Pizza Shack was a newly established fast food restaurant which, like its name, obviously served pizza. Its floor coloring and placement were built to look like a huge slice of pepperoni pizza. The 6 T's were outside at one of the tables. Everything was going fine until a dispute over toppings began. Can we please just order something? Raven asked in annoyance. As long as it's vegetarian, Beast Boy stated. Come on, man, how can you deny me the all-meat experience? Victor questioned. Dude, I've been most of those animals. Beast Boy shouted. I suggest a large pizza with pickles, bananas, and mint frosting. Starfire beams at her suggestion, but Beast Boy is visibly repulsed by the combination and the others think just as little of it. Yeah, those aren't on the menu for pizza toppings, Naruto stated. Oh. She blushes over the gaffe she has made. Double pepperoni. Victor stated his argument. I'm not eating meat. Beast Boy countered. There's no meat in pepperoni. Okay, that's enough. Naruto was starting to get annoyed. You know what, we'll order 4 pizzas. You two get your own, I'll send for the unusual topics for Starfire's pizza while the rest of us go with whatever. Is everyone happy? Naruto adds as some of them grumbled an answer and nodded. Good, I don't know you guys are complaining. I'm the one who seems to be paying for everything anyway. Maybe I should relieve you of that responsibility, a familiar voice said as a fireball about the size of the human head launched at the table, causing it to explode. Each of the teens used their abilities to get out of the way before they could be harmed by the attack. They all assembled on the opposite side of their opponent Alkino. You know, I like to keep a piece of my contributors, he started to say, but the young fighters weren't willing to listen. Alkino though displayed the power he apparently gathered in a short amount of time. A blast of electricity shot out and took out both Beast Boy and Victor in an instant, shutting both their systems down. Next was Robin, who leaped up in the area and attempted to bring his staff down upon the Devourer's head, who stopped it with only a pinky. A brutal punch to gut had put him down. Robin dropped to the ground, hunched over and coughing up blood. You might want to get to the hospital, busted ribs are not good, he said, turning his sights to the other three who backed up. How the... Did he get that much stronger in such a short time? I need just a minute to study his movements. I know this may be a lot to ask, but, Ray, Starfire, can the two of you hold him off for 2 minutes? That's all I need, Naruto said as he began channeling his chakra. If there is anything left of him by then, Starfire said as she shot forward. Hurrah! With a powerful cry she let out a devastating assault of star bolts. Before she was holding back, careful not to cause too much damage with her powerful blasts. Though there was something about this man, his aura, that defined his true nature. There in front of them was a true monster, someone not to be trifled with. Even with a direct blast of such powerful energy, it merely served to crack his armor slightly. You'll have to do better than that to harm me, princess. Raven took the opportunity to heal the down titans and explained that they needed to buy time for whatever Naruto was planning to do. The first to act was Beast Boy, who turned into a cheetah and charged at Alkino, who put up an electrical barrier that sent the changeling reeling back into one of the tables, while Robin leaped over him and launched several birdarangs with one hand and discs with the other. They too met with the electrical field only to explode. Alkino raised his left hand and began gathering a large flux of energy. The titans one after another tried every attack they could think of to no avail. His concentration along with his barrier was broken by a powerful sonic blast. He turned his attention to his assailant, who was none other than Victor Stone with his newly created sonic cannon. 1 more minute. Since you are all in such a hurry to die, I'll grant you that wish, he said as he leaped from the pizza shack down onto the streets below. There was a gathering of spectators that was watching the fight from below. With speed quicker than the eye, his hand pierced a man's chest. Seeing the people took all in all directions, screaming hysterically. With renewed vigor, the titans rushed down to stop this psychopath once and for all. The man slipped off of Alkino's hand, bleeding badly as he hit the ground. Before Alkino could launch his next attack, an explosion of chakra erupted from the pizza shack, catching his attention. In a split second, Naruto appeared behind him, he illuminated with bright golden chakra. This ends now. He spoke, squeezing Alkino's hand, causing a sickening crunch. The others stopped at the sight in disbelief what they were seeing. Alkino though stood there merely unfazed by the fact his hand was just broken. Looks like I'm not the only one with some tricks up his sleeve. But unlike last time, you won't be getting away, Naruto stated with complete certainty as he formed a futon, Rasengan, in his free arm. Naruto thrust the powerful jutsu into Alkino's armor, causing it to break. He followed up with a brutal uppercut and launched himself into the air. He then appeared above Alkino and dropped down on his gut, sending them both into the ground. The impact caused a sizable crater. With a slightly bruised and bleeding Alkino looked up at Naruto. Killing me won't be so easy, he whispered, just loud enough for the shinobi to hear. Enjoy your time while it lasts. Soon your power will become mine. The devourer finished as he burst into blood. With something that dangerous in town, there was no way he could leave jump undefended. Attack cut short. Kitsune among titans. 0. Naruto x Harem. 0000. Story start. 00000. A week to get to know a person. A month to develop a base. 3 to settle in identities. They were Jump City's very own group of heroes. Teenage individuals who called themselves the Teen Titans. Titan Personal File Number 1. Real name, Naruto Uzumaki. Alias, not needed. Powers, superhuman strength and speed. Chakra mastery and use of the elements. Shape-shifting. Weapons mastery. Immunity to most poisons. Rapid healing. Transformation. Classified. Further abilities unknown. Further information is classified. Age. Heritage, Asian/Islander mixed. Position, co-leader. Personal skills, multilinguist, chef, mechanic. Come on Robin, this is information that needs to be put down. Naruto pressed the teen, becoming annoyed. It was his idea to do this, yet he didn't want to divulge anything. I don't see how my name has anything to do with my ability as a crime fighter. There will come a time that information about our backgrounds will either be necessary to survival or in case someone goes rogue. Then there's the possibility of being possessed and stuff, or the fact that one of us may die in duty. It's really endless, and only a few people, namely myself, you, and Cyborg, will have access these files. We'll worry about all the extra stuff later. Titan Personal File Number 2. Alias, Robin. Real name. Grayson. Powers, human. Possesses no abilities beyond the ones granted by constant, exceptional training. Said training comes from Batman, both in martial arts and detective skills. Also highly skilled in computers and other electronic devices. Robin's costume is made of the finest body armor available, with titanium weave and Kevlar and Nomex fabrics, making it bulletproof and fire-resistant, and his utility belt contains birdarangs, modified batarangs that can function as projectile weapons or combine to form a sword, various explosive discs in both incendiary and freezing applications, grappling gun and D-cell jump lines, and other tools including his metal bow staff and its occasional Eskrima fighting sticks and Tunfar variations. Age, 16. Heritage, Caucasian. Position, leader. Personal skills, knowledge in many fighting styles. After typing in the information, Naruto began to think about one of his earlier conversation with the team. See, that's why it's imperative to have a sparring partner, Naruto said as he looked at the bow staff then twirled it. Dude. That was awesome, man. You were like whoosh and you flew over Robin, and then you were like sit and Robin was like oh no, and then crack cat you threw him and he hit the wall. Well, to be fair, I'm neither an alien nor a meta. Since we're going to be teammates, I might as well be open about a bit of my past. Naruto gave them a brief explanation of his basic life while keeping the most intimate moments of his life out of it. I'm sorry man, but that seems too far-fetched even for me, Beast Boy replied, trying to wrap his head around everything he learned. You guys have aliens, mages, gods, demons, time travel, alien invasions, alternate realities, and a hero dying and resurrected within a week's time in this world alone, but what I said was far-fetched. How? Naruto himself couldn't wrap his head around the fact that people could deny things despite everything he listed off existing. Never mind then. Robin had left and Starfire entered the room, taking a seat in the seat Robin vacated. Friend Naruto, what do I inform you of? Just your fighting capabilities, you know nothing that big. Titan Personal File No. 2, Coriandar or an Earth Starfire. Real name, Coriandar. Powers, natural ability of flight, heightened strength. Tamarians can naturally absorb solar energy and project it as destructive force beams from their hands and occasionally their eyes. Due to being experimented on by alien, Starfire can do this much faster and with greater power and range than an average Tamarian. Bio, trained to be a warrior. Highly emotional by nature, Starfire is naturally kind and sweet, but quick to anger and fierce in battle. Heritage, Tamaranian. Age, 19. Position, liaison for other alien races, or whatever it's called. Once more after the information, Naruto began to think about a previous memory. 0000000000000. Naruto sighed as he followed the sound of crying to Starfire's room. While he was out, apparently the tower nearly got burned down courtesy of Starfire trying to cook something special for her friends. He caught the end of the exchange of Robin yelling at Starfire and her running off. Sure, he did his share of stupid mistakes, but that's what they were, mistakes. No one tries to mess up, they just do. After chastising the boy wonder on his manners and how to treat a teammate, he went to go comfort the alien. I mean, sure, she blew up the stove and set the kitchen on fire, but it was just a simple accident. Hey Star, are you okay? Uhu Naruto, she let out a choked sob. I just wanted to make something for everyone, she finished and sniffled. SSH, it's okay, he said, pulling her into a side hug. Am I really a ditz? Ditz? No, I don't know what Robin told you, but don't listen, it was out of anger. I can honestly say he's not that much of an ass. But raised in a strict environment. Kind of reminds me of him, just not as quite as .ed up haircut, less arrogant, not to mention he has that .ed mask. Anyway, moving on, how about this? I'll teach you all that you need to learn about the planet Earth and its customs, okay? Okay. Next Titan, next bio. When Starfire left and entered Cyborg. Alright Vic, just tell me what you want to omit and I'll put the rest in the file. I don't have to talk about the accident or anything like that, he asked for clarification. Despite the fact that months past, the subject was still touchy for him. Nope. Titan Personal File Number 3, Cyborg. Real name, Victor Stone. Powers, cyborg body as per namesake. Body is composed of molybdenum steel, which grants enhanced strength and endurance. Enhanced vision from cybernetic eye, can also interface with any computer system. Body contains an arsenal of weapons and tools, most famous one being the right-handed sonic/concussive cannon. Expert engineer and mechanic. Age, 18. Heritage, African American. Position, mechanic, weapons specialist, technician. After filing the information, Cyborg left and in walked Raven. Hey Ray, whenever you're ready. I don't have much to tell that you don't already know, her response was bit on the guarded side. Relax Ray, I'll put extra protection on your information as a precaution, he stated to put her at ease. Well, I don't know. We can have pie afterwards, he suggested with a friendly smile. Raven sighed. Her extremely well-hidden love for pie. Titan Personal File Number 4, Raven. Real name, none, occasionally uses Rachel Roth as an alias. Powers, telekinetic and telepathic abilities, mostly the former, which manifest in tandem with her soul self, a mystical avatar/energy. Empathic abilities allow Raven to heal injuries by absorbing the pain into her body or drain emotions from people or animals, calming them. Adept sorceress, her body and birthright are still not fully known to her and have occasionally manifested in other mystical talents, including precognitive visions and the ability to temporarily freeze time. Heritage. Age, 17. Position, possible healer. Finally it was down to the last Titan. Dude, you should. Beast Boy, you know the drill, you must write me 3-page essay stating the pros and cons of said suggestions. Titan Personal File Number 5, Beast Boy. Real name, Garfield, Gar, Logan. Powers, can take on the form and abilities of any animal he chooses, including extinct and mystical animals. The form of the animal must be accurate though. Beast Boy cannot become a mouse-sized bear or a giant fly, for 2 examples, and Beast Boy does not inherit any special abilities of the mystical animals. He cannot breathe fire if he becomes a dragon, for example. Beast Boy can push his form to break these conditions, though such actions result in murderous strain that pretty much renders Beast Boy useless. Also, swapping forms that have a great variety in size, an ant to a dinosaur, can also cause physical and mental trauma, though intense training has pretty much rendered that occurrence rare. Heritage? Age, 15. Position? With the information logged, each of the Titans went off and did their own thing. Unaware that tomorrow, on the day of March 9th, something sinister was brewing. You are the one who they refer to as Deathstroke, am I correct? The hooded figure asked on the computer screen. I am. I heard rumors that you have been looking for an assassin, said the large full-body armored figure. Yes, imbued with enhanced physical prowess by secret army experiments attempting to create metahuman soldiers for the US military, Deathstroke became a mercenary soon after the experiment when he defied orders to rescue his friend and mentor Wintergreen, who had been sent on a suicide mission by a commanding officer with a grudge. However, he kept this career secret from his family, even though his wife was an expert military combat instructor. Indeed, she had been responsible for a significant portion of his early training until a criminal named the Jackal kidnapped his younger son, Joseph, as a hostage to force Slade to divulge the name of a client who had hired him as an assassin. Slade refused to do so, claiming that it was against his personal honor code, and attacked and killed the kidnappers at the rendezvous. Unfortunately, Joseph's throat was slashed by one of the criminals before Slade could prevent it, destroying his vocal cords and rendering him mute. After taking Joseph to the hospital, Slade's wife Adeline, enraged at his endangerment of her son, tried to kill Slade by shooting him, but only managed to destroy his right eye. Afterward, his confidence in his physical abilities was such that he made no secret of his impaired vision, marked by his mask which has a black featureless haft covering his lost eye. I press that you get to the point before I lose my patience. The assassin threatened as he narrowed his eyes. Very well. I know you've been doing some digging on the new superhero team, the Teen Titans. As I recall, your son Grant was hired to capture a certain person, but died in confrontation with him. My sources confirmed it was the blonde-haired Titan Naruto who pushed your son to limits, causing the fatal reaction to the compound he took. The screen faded out as a video recording came on. Come on, man, you'll never hit me like that, the blonde taunted as Grant's attempt to strike him down, but as the battle prolonged, the mercenary began to lose control of himself. Brawl or ball? I don't know why it comes to mind, but I do know this is getting boring. Naruto jumps straight up in the air and grabs one of the pipes in the quarry. Try and try again, old chap. You wanting to capture me is an unfilled assignment that will last until your death. I'm the wind guy, you can't catch me. With that he disappeared as his image faded. The hooded figure came back to the screen. As you can see, this went on until Grant's demise. So how about it, Deathstroke? Work for us and take out this troublesome little group of wannabe brilliantine before they become a real hassle. I accept this assignment under the conditions that I get to handle them my way. Though before this occurs I wish to test them to see if they are really worth my time. Very well, I shall go get the mistresses and she can offer you a group to hire to test them. A few moments later the screen once again crackled to life, showing a golden hexagonal crest, and playing classical music. The crest was sectioned off into 4 parts, 2 black, and 2 white. Within this crest was a large golden H, and underneath was inscribed H.E.Y.P. I decided to make this a branch of the actual hive. The crest was superimposed on a yellow honeycomb patterned wall. The Hive Academy is proud to introduce this year's top graduates of the HAEY. Division. A cool female voice began to speak. The camera focused in on 3 figures on a platform. One was a short, bald boy in a deep green jumpsuit, goggles on his head, and various technological items clamped around his chest. The second was a gigantic figure with wild brown hair, small beard, an animalistic face, and was clad in a black sleeveless shirt and pants with gold bands across his chest. The last was a slim figure with light pink hair, gray skin, and light pink cat-like eyes. Her costume was black with blue trim, and she had a black pendant around her neck. Simultaneously, the 3 vaulted off of the platform. Gizmo, the boy genius whose intellect can conquer any problem with an inventive solution. This being said, a pair of metallic wings spread from the backpack that Gizmo was wearing, and he blasted a bunch of robots with his laser guns. Jinx, the enchanting sorceress whose powerful spells mean bad luck for her enemies. The slim, black and blue-clad figure stood on the platform and sent light purple energy blasts into the walls. The machinery fizzled, and died. Jinx then proceeded to do a series of backflips down the hall. Some laser guns rose out of the floor, and the large animalistic young man tore through them easily. And Mammoth, the genetically enhanced giant whose unstoppable strength speaks for itself. A robot loomed up behind the giant, only to be hot-wired by Gizmo. Well-organized, highly trained, and combat-equipped. These new HAYP agents are the perfect fighting force. Continuing his backflips, Jinx caused the laser guns to destroy each other. She landed, and faced the camera, her fellow agents join her. And for the right price, this ideal team can be yours. The image became static again, and the screen went black. Well, Mr. Deathstroke, a severe-looking elderly woman inquired. She was staring at a figure seated in shadow. Impressive, the voice was soft, and malicious. Truly. However, robots and obstacle courses only prove so much. My plans demand operatives who can function in the real world. As he spoke, Jinx, Gizmo, and Mammoth appeared beside the woman. If your students are going to serve me, they'll have to pass one final exam. He paused. Destroy the Teen Titans, and then we'll talk. The woman bowed, and the lair went black. The woman returned to her office to make a call. You have some gall to call me after all this time, the voice said from the computer. He looked to be in his late 40s, not to mention a rather particular massive height of 8 feet tall. I have a job that you would find interesting. I have Deathstroke himself as a client. Apparently he's trying work in a new field besides assassination, though not before doing some familiar work that has got him his recognition. The job that our contract has been agreed on is the elimination of the Teen Titans, the Hive Mistress said. The only sound was the clanking of ice in the man's glass of alcohol as he thought over what was said. He hunched over and closed his eyes. He opened his eyes and looked at the computer screen. You caught me in a good mood, Valina. I will assist you by sending 2 members for a single operation. Upon it being complete, I expect them to promptly return. Why, Vernon, you're being quite generous today, the woman replied with a bemused smile. Don't mock me, woman, he countered harshly. They will arrive in a week. Hopefully it won't take too long. Meanwhile, on the unnamed Titans Island. Ah, man, come on, cried the metallic teen cyborg. The Titan's kitchen sink and counter was cluttered with dirty dishes and the floor strewn with weeks-old garbage. It's gotta be around here someplace, he said again as he continued his search. Not too far from his beast boy in the form of a bloodhound, sniffed some of the garbage as Cyborg's frustrated groan could be heard. I don't believe this. The metal teen replied again, hoisting the couch while Beast Boy kept nosing around the floor. How long do you think it's going to take them to find the remote? Naruto wondered to Raven mentally. How could you lose the remote? Cyborg questioned the changeling as he resumed human form and continued rummaging through the garbage. What makes you so sure I lost it? He questioned as they leaned into each other's faces. 'Cause you're you. Hey. Just because I lost that video game dash. And the waffle iron, my bike, not to mention the toothpaste, and my football, and the waffle iron, he added a second time. Things disappear. How am I supposed to know where they go? Raven lowers her book with an expression of annoyance. A vein begins to throb on her temple. Well, how am I supposed to watch TV without a remote? Raven slams her book shut and stands up, simple. You just get up and change the channel. The 2 squabbling boys give her and each other a very long and puzzled look. Don't even joke like that. I wasn't joking. Good, 'cause it wasn't funny. Now either help us look for the remote, she grimaces, or go back to your nasty old book and dash. Okay, enough, Naruto said, closing his book. You two are putting more effort into finding the remote than it would take to get up and change the channel. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to go out and eat since I'm hungry. I don't need food. Cyborg shouted as he continued looking for the remote. The last two Titans enter. What's up with them? Robin asked. They lost the remote, again, Naruto said with a sigh. And once again they're arguing about whose fault it is. If anyone wants to eat, I'm buying. As always, there is a dispute between what to order whenever they arrived at the pizza shack. The meat versus vegetation dispute. Come on, man, how can you deny me the all-meat experience? Dude, I've been most of those animals. Beast Boy said, offended. I suggest a large pizza with pickles, bananas, and mint frosting, Starfire said, beaming at her suggestion. Beast Boy is visibly repulsed by the combination, and Cyborg and Raven think just as little of it. Before anyone said or did anything, Naruto gave a laugh. Whoa. Starfire, none of those are on the menu. It's not something most people would put on their pizza, he explained as the alien blushed. He pulled out a pamphlet and showed her all the items. If you want, I can always whip up a pizza and you can put whatever you want on it, he explained, which led to the alien beaming once again. Thank you, Naruto, I would appreciate that. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, the last thing we need is one of our own sick, Robin said, as like most of the team it still stupefied him how Starfire could eat the combination of food that she did. Oh come on, have you seen the way she put some stuff away? I doubt anything she eats will make her sick. Gizmo to Jinx. Jinx by the park answers when she receives his transmission on a hidden radio. Begin Phase 1. She carelessly tosses a spell at the bus, causing it to start rolling downhill. Back to the pizza joint, as the vehicle's horn blares from down the street, the Titans stand up from the table. The sound of a baby crying from ground level elicits a shocked gasp from Beast Boy. Titans. Go! They immediately spring into action while the bus keeps bearing down on the crosswalk. Starfire pushes the carriage out of the way, and Naruto along with Cyborg and Raven plant themselves in the vehicle's path. When the bus reaches them, Cyborg he pushes back against the front fender to slow it down. Raven casts a spell, then of the bus gearshift lever. It is in neutral, but under her influence it slides into park. Naruto jumps eye level to the driver's front window. He saw there was no driver and focused his sense of smell to the carriage, no baby. Before the others could come to a conclusion what was happening, he already figured what was going on. Titans, it's a tra. He didn't get to finish as he was blasted by some sort of blast. In the carriage, the decoy in the form of a bear blasts Robin, Beast Boy, and Starfire, sending them flying through the air. The three let out a scream and collide with the pavement. The last two remaining Titans were about to retaliate when the bus suddenly seems to tilt back onto its rear wheels of its own volition. Mammoth has seized the rear bumper and levered the mode of mass transit into the air, and he brings it down on top of the two. As the dust clears, he walks forward and brushes dust from his hands, and Gizmo's nasty laughter is heard. He and Jinx step into view just in front of the camera, which has backed up to ground level. That was too easy. What a bunch of heads. You guys want to get pizza? Gizmo asked. The three Titans, Robin, Beast Boy, and Starfire, recovered and dust themselves off. Raven appears out of a bird-shaped shadow and Cyborg tosses the bus off him. Naruto then appears out of a column of wind. This isn't over, Robin stated. On the contrary, Naruto followed up with, we're just getting started. Cyborg finished. Who are these guys? Beast Boy questioned. Two more individuals joined them. A golden-armored individual with a red face and a orange-hair young woman wear a blue provocative outfit, showing her ample chest and stomach. We are the Fearsome Five. Your end. And this is Attack Pattern Alpha. They introduced. Jinx and Mammoth scramble, and a jet pack on Gizmo's back carries him into the air. He fires a volley of laser shots at the alley, chipping loose large hunks of masonry so that they fall on the three titans. Neutron launches forward at Naruto with immense speed and threw a punch which Naruto dodged. The punch though connected with a nearby lamp post, destroying it. Naruto was about to pull out a kunai when Neutron blasts him with a blast of nuclear energy, sending him soaring back. The other titans had their own battles. Raven and Jinx exchanging spell-to-spell combat. Cyborg and Mammoth fighting a battle of strength while the other three contended to Gizmo and Shimmer. What do you call an idiot with a rocket on his back? Mammoth taunted Cyborg, whose reply was, "Huh. Doomed." Somehow Gizmo got on his back, setting up a device. The rocket ignites and sends Cyborg veering crazily over the buildings. "I don't think so." 10 Kagebunshin popped out of air. Naruto used the transformation and launched them one by one at estimated spots he figured the jet pack would zip. 2 kunai hit, causing it to suddenly stop, resulting in Cyborg crashing into the ground. Well, that didn't end well. Jinx comes at Raven with a jumping spin kick, but she ducks away and gets behind the funny-haired sorceress. Dodging 2 more strikes, Raven counters with a backhand. "You fight like a boy," Jinx said as Gizmo appeared overhead, now balanced on 4 tall spider-like legs. "And you're gonna croak like a frog." The contraption fires a blast that hurls her down the street and squarely into the charging Robin. Beast Boy passes them both. "Ha!" He turns into an elephant and continues his rush, but stops short suddenly at the sound of grunting from Mammoth. The big lummox has lifted him clean off his feet. His fellow graduates are watching. "Mammoth's gonna make you extinct." Beast Boy. "Hang on," Robin said, getting up and charging. Mammoth throws the green elephant straight up into the air and hits it with a jumping punch on the way down. Robin suddenly finds himself directly in the path of his teammate, who changes back to human form just before slamming into him. They skid to a stop near Raven. "Is it me, or are we getting our butts kicked?" was said as the others stand up. "It's just you," they said. "Listen up, team. I have a plan." Naruto back-flipped, dodging another one of Neutron's spike. He sent a blast of fire only for Shimmer to jump in front and turn the flame to smoke. Neutron flies above and got ready to aim a blast at Naruto, but shows some bystanders instead. The sage moved to block the blast with Reflect. Right when he was about to counter-attack, he heard the sound of crumbling road and saw Robin was about to fall in. He rushed over and jumped over the gorge and grabbed the Titan's leader's arm. He threw him onto the ledge as he used a replacement with Neutron. Naruto summoned a giant toad and dropped it on Nechiron, causing a massive hole in the street. "Oh, Commissioner Daniels is going to kill me." Caught up in his worry of the crazy charges Daniels would give him, Naruto didn't sense Jinx until the last second. She blasted a spell and on instinct he casted Reflect, causing her to be blasted with her own spell. 2 for 2, man, I kick ass. With the others, they were also experiencing their own success. Kicking the cap off a fire hydrant with an expressive show of strength, Shimmer transformed the compound element of water into fire and was launching off stream after stream, causing the others to duck for cover. Azarath, Metrian, Zinthos. Raven summoned and Bus and flipped it on its side for cover as the Titans moved behind it for cover. "Okay, anyone got a plan?" Cyborg asked. Right when Gizmo was about to surprise them, Beast Boy came out of nowhere in the form of a ram and booted him into the hole. He then switched back to human form. "Come on out. I can keep this going all day," Shimmer shouted. "I was able to put the big guy under an illusion, but not sure the same would work for her." Not knowing the exact nature of her power could result in a widespread explosion or result of a flame burst that could set the whole area on fire, and that's just assuming it doesn't switch to some dangerous and poisonous airborne substance. "Then some of us will have to distract her while the others attack," Robin stated. "Actually, I don't think that'll be needed," Naruto pointed out as he looked past the villainess. The villainess's eyes widened as she attempted to change the compound to something new only for her be struck in the back of the head with a baton by. Daniels? You do realize this is coming out of your wallet, right? She said, referring to the widespread destruction. Okay, this is bull. The only thing that's mine is that toad-shaped hole in the road and maybe a few holes in the buildings with kunai and or shuriken marks. Despite his protest, Naruto once again found his wallet a little lighter. The fearsome five were rounded up. I assure you, the woman spoke. Such failures are not tolerated within the hive. Once the agents have been retrieved from the authorities, they will be disciplined. She struck her fist into her palm. Strictly disciplined. Actually, your agent served my plans quite well, Deathstroke's soft voice emanated in the darkness. I never expected them to succeed. They were merely messengers. Here he paused. And the message has been sent. He clicked a button, and immediately the image of the Titans appeared. Sisters Part 1. Kitsune among Titans. 0. Naruto X Harem. 0. Normal speech. Inner thoughts, dialogue, or reading passages from books and scrolls. Quick notes and messages or echoes. Dark overlapping echoes. Boss summons, demons, dark beings speaking, demonic/angry characters speaking, as well as extremely dark spells and magic. 00000. Story start. 00000. The Titans were enjoying a night off at the carnival. At one of the game stalls were Naruto and Starfire. He was showing and explaining to her the mechanics of baseball and how to play this carnival game. Being that he wasn't too much of an expert on the subject, he had put his spin on a detail or two. That and his wallet took a bit of the dive after Starfire destroyed two stalls, one with a ball hit too hard and the other a flying bat. Though it was a bit amusing and cute when she held up the bat upside down. No, here. He moved behind her and wrapped his arms around her, his hands on her hands, positioning them on the bat. Naruto, out of curiosity and a purpose, was curious about Tamaran, and Starfire vice versa about Earth, so the two spent a good deal time around each other. He showed her the arm motions. Like that. He marveling at how soft her skin felt. Normally he would have hinted a bit of an interest, but more or less he couldn't help the guilt that would accompany using her lack of experience and knowledge of Earth as part of the reason of winning her over. Thank you, friend Naruto, your example was informative, she said as Naruto stepped back. Because of the incident and how she was treated, Starfire had these random bouts of uneasiness when it came to contact. Starfire readied to swing and several people dived for the ground. The machine shot the ball and Starfire swung the back, sending it right into the hole. I did it. She cheered as she floated a bit. Everyone let out a breath of relief as Naruto shook his head. Star, that was. All of a sudden a pink octopus-like craft swoops down and yanks Starfire from her spot. She screamed as she was carried away. Starfire. Get your hands off me, you besaxard. The Tamaran warrior cursed in her language as she tried to break free. It was supposed to be a simple night to the carnival. Just taking a break and enjoying being a teenager for a few hours. She was going to enjoy spending some time with her new friends, especially Naruto, who was curious about her and her culture. None of the others displayed as much as keen interest as him. In fact, every time Naruto left or got a package, it always included some tome about a civilization, practices, or arts. Heads up, Naruto yelled as he sliced the upper portion of the octopus robot off. He caught Starfire around the waist and dropped down to the ground. You okay, Starfire? He asked the dazzled girl. Yes, I am unharmed, thank you, she replied as she looked away blushing. Their closeness was a bit more in the intimate nature. Tamarinians, being part feline in their ancestry, naturally were aware and dealt with animal magnetism. This wasn't too much a problem with her unless Naruto got close, especially during battle. While Beast Boy was a good example because of his condition, his was more loose and spontaneous and tended to fluctuate. Naruto's on the other hand was focused. Powerful, raw when he got worked up. That was an interesting ride, huh? He attempted to joke as she gave him a confused look. Naruto only shook his head and sighed. It wasn't to say the girl was naive, no, it was a fact that Naruto easily picked up on. He knew how hard it was when he came to America and had to learn English for the first time. It wasn't easy considering he didn't look like a traditional Asian of descent with blue eyes and blonde hair. The language was practically identical, but in a good deal of worlds there were less Asian with weird hair colors like blonde, green, or even pink in comparison to other worlds. "Glad you're okay," he said as he then backed up knowing their closeness. He got a good look at her and turned away as her outfit was something one would come up with for a roleplay situation. Also for some strange reason he felt his urges rise to the surface when he was around her, and as much as he didn't want to admit it, he liked her. Then there was also Raven on the other hand to consider. "Naruto, maybe we should go back with the others." "Yeah, yo." Naruto didn't get to finish as he was tackled by another octopus robot like the last. Another one then showed up and got ready to attack Starfire when the other titans showed up. Naruto fired out a condensed gust of wind and started blasted holes in the one he was fighting. The other one's tentacles started to flail. Robin whips out his staff, extends it, and goes on the offensive. A mighty swing reverberates against the nose and drives the craft back. It tumbles over the guardrails as he lands and puts the weapon away. Beast Boy, back in human form, looks down after it. A loud splash is heard. "So, did we just win?" he asked, bewildered. The thing crashes up through the planks at the Titan's feet. An explosion goes off and Naruto jumps into the air and slams his hand into the creature and blasts it apart. "I think this time we got them all," he said as he walked over to the others. At the Titan's tower. "Come, friends." The background changes to flowers and bathes her in light. "I shall thank you for my rescue by reciting the poem of gratitude, all 6,000 verses." The group began to blanch at that. 6,000 verses. These verses were short, right? "I uni ek dedf dgsglnsgfsrwtffd," a slightly sensual voice stated. The mere sight of the woman put the others on guard before Starfire happily squealed and dove towards the woman and wrapped her in a tight hug. The woman looked similar to Starfire in terms orange skin and outfit theme. That was when the different features were noticed. Instead of the long flaming hair of Starfire, this one had long dark purple hair that was pretty close to black. Her eyes were missing stars green as they looked the normal white with dark purple irises like her hair. Her outfit was a small black sleeveless top that accented her large chest and a black short skirt, her skin covered with a sleek silver long-sleeved shirt and silver spats under her skirt. Her outfit shared the collar, bracelets, and long thigh-high boots as Starfire, while her boots were black like the rest of her outfit. What stood out the most was the green gem around her neck. "Sister. It is so nice to see you again." Starfire squealed as they hugged before the woman gently pushed Star away, holding up a finger as if to say, "One moment," and walked over towards Naruto. Naruto rose an eyebrow at her, unsure of why she was heading his way before the woman pulled him in by the collar of his shirt and trapped him in a deep kiss. After a moment she pulled away. "Now that takes care of that," she turned to Starfire. "Now come give your big sister a before I forget I got you a little present." "Is that a Centauri moon diamond?" Starfire's eyes lit up. "Where did you get it?" "On the Centauri moons, of course." She fastens it around Starfire's neck. "Oh, look, it matches your eyes." The recipient beams for a moment, then opens her eyes wide. "You must meet my friends," Starfire said, yanking Blackfire across the room. "I wish to introduce my big sister." Blackfire steps forward and introduces herself. Blackfire, both Naruto and Raven see Starfire caught out by her sister's boldness. "And since Star told me all about the Titans in her transmissions, let me guess," she points to Cyborg. He holds out his hand to shake and greets her. "Pleased to meet you, little lady." The sound of grinding metal could be heard when she took his hand, and when she let go his fingers appear to be squeezed temporarily out of alignment. Little lady, big handshake. Well, all right. Raven. I like that gemstone on your Ajna chakra. You know about chakras? She asked, clearly impressed. I got way into meditation on Altara Prime. She moves on to. Beast Boy. What's up? Nothing but the ceiling, baby. She laughs, good one. See? She thinks I'm funny, he told Raven. Statistically, I suppose someone has to, she replied. And you must be Robin. She zips behind him and fingers his cape. Oh, I am loving this cape. It's positively luscious. Thanks. It's a high-density polymerized titanium, 10 times stronger than steel. Fascinating. She finally made her way to. Ah, here we go, Naruto Uzumaki, can't wait to see how much of a force of nature you are. Someone did their research. Pleased to meet you. He said, giving her some dap. And not to mention those whiskers of yours. Are they really natural? Had them since the day I was born. Can I touch them? She asked in a manner that could almost be classified as fangirl. Before Naruto could answer, Starfire inserts herself between them. So, beloved sister, what brings you to Earth? She asked as Blackfire crosses to the couch. I was in the quadrant. Thought I'd see if Earthlings like to party. She hops over the back and sits. Besides, I needed a rest. Nearly got into a black hole on the way here. Black hole? Robin asked. No way. Said in disbelief Cyborg. Cool. Beast Boy exclaimed in awe. Okay. I'm cruising through the Draconis Nebula, and dash. Sister. That nebula is full of black holes. It was a miracle you weren't killed. Hey, I'm here now, no need to worry. Now be a sweetie and bring me one of those sodas I've heard so much about, she said, turning to the others. So anyway, I'm zooming over an event horizon, approaching light speed, when all of a sudden dash. Starfire walks toward the kitchen on the end of this. I see you have not changed either, Starfire said to herself, disgruntled. In the orbit of Earth, a large spaceship was tracking the feedback of one of its devices until it disappeared off radar. Our target was not located. The drones have failed, one of the crewmen spoke. Have they? Another one asked as he looked down at a control panel that shows outlines of the 4 craft, or drones. 3 glow green, while the last one is red, matching the status lights on the docking tubes. One clawed hand presses the red outline, and a view of Earth pops onto the screen. The one that probed Earth did not return. That is where we will find the girl. Sister? Starfire asked as she walked around the tower. Sister? She looks around a bit. Sister, I seek your companionship. She called out as she walks into the living room. On the couch sat Cyborg and Beast Boy playing the game station on the brand new 60-inch screen Naruto bought. By their respective expressions one could tell right away who is winning. You want to pass me, but you can't pass me. You can't dash, surprised shown on his face as Beast Boy grins. You passed me. Tighten the turn, Jets, and Nitro. He jumps up and does a laughing victory dance as Cyborg slumps over. A moment later, he is back on the couch. Starfire walks up behind them. Tell me, have either of you seen Blackfire? Blazin' B? She was here just a second ago, Beast Boy answered. Naruto walked by holding a newspaper. Sparring with Robin, he answered as he stopped. Cyborg, I'm surprised, man, how do you let Beast Boy of all people beat you? Hey! The changeling cried indignant. Anyway man, I got the stuff set up, had to pay for another person but it's all set, he informed. Seeing as he was the only one with a job, working as a waiter, running a bookstore, etc., etc., he pretty much paid for everything. It wasn't like superhero-ship was a regular paid job, so part of the city's taxes were placed in a separate fund and the Titans were paid on a job-to-job basis, minus property damage they caused during fights and stuff like that. Currently the mayor and Robin were trying to negotiate an alternate payment plan, seeing as it wasn't like a major villain attack would occur on a weekly basis or anything. Throughout the day Starfire's confidence in her place among her friends withered. It seemed that Blackfire was a better friend to everyone in a way she couldn't be. She was great at video games or knew any special martial arts to teach Robin. She had the idea to bond with them over movies, but Starfire was now especially crestfallen to find out that they were going to a party since the thing Naruto orchestrated hit a setback, meaning they didn't have to wait around. Some time later they had all finally made it to the club and relaxed. Beast Boy and Cyborg was dancing and Raven was monotonously chatting with some goth guy. The others were off doing their own thing. Naruto noticed something was wrong with Starfire and decided to check up on her. Eventually he asked the important question, "What's wrong?" "Everything is. My sister's visit was nothing like I pictured. I am happy to see her, but Blackfire rules the video games, and she is able to share very depressing poems, and she knows the cool moves, and she always knows when people are not talking about shovels," she sighs. "And I am nothing like her," she exclaimed all in one breath. Naruto knew something was off about her, so he was glad he pulled her off to the side. "Of course not, you're you, Starfire. Our friend and your sister can't replace you. Who else would cook me those Tamaranian dishes the way you do?" he comforted. "It's just the hype of meeting someone new and interesting. Trust me, Star, your sister could never replace you for us, and she's only visiting, right?" That is what she said. The moment Starfire was given access to a device capable of off-world transmissions, she began searching for and trying to contact her sister. To her relief, she found Blackfire had also escaped capture and was avoiding the Gordonians. As such, they had spent the last few weeks sending each other transmissions and making plans on contacting their people's allies and forming a plan to protect their home world from being conquered. At the very least, this gives you time to connect with her, right? Your duties at home always kept you apart. Now you can finally have that quality sister-to-sister time you wanted. His kind words and sentiments made Starfire feel somewhat better. A grateful smile began to form on Starfire's lips. The moment was soon interrupted. "There you are, I was looking all over for you," Blackfire exclaimed as she forcefully moved in between them. "We are not leaving till I at least get one dance out of you," she said as she pulled on his arm. "Star?" He turned his attention back to the redhead, who shook her head. "She won't stop until she get what she wants. Shall we talk more later?" "With popcorn and a movie," he answered. A delighted smile soon formed on Starfire's face, as at least someone had remembered their original plans for a movie night. With that solved, Naruto allowed the older Tamaranian to drag him out to the dance floor. "Have you been avoiding me? I haven't seen you much at all the past 2 days," she said as she swayed to the music. "I have a job. Maintaining our bills aren't exactly cheap, and it isn't like the city has an infinite fund for heroes." "Ooh, how responsible. There's just something why about a man that not only fight, but handles his money well as well," she said as she floated around him, wrapping her arms around his neck from behind. "It just does things to a girl, you know." As his senses reached out, he could sense the mixture of both positive and negative emotions swirling around. Deception. Betrayal. Lust. Exhaustion. Peace. Desire. Comfort. Suddenly he grabbed her wrist. "Come on, let's go get comfortable somewhere else." He didn't even need to look back to take in the mischief and desire on her face. When they reached the roof, Blackfire was the first to make a move. She tried to kiss the blonde, but he placed up a hand to stop her. "What in the world is with you? You got a gorgeous woman practically throwing herself at you, and you won't even give me the time of day." Her eyes began to burn with the same sort of anger all too familiar. "It's her, isn't it? Just like everyone else, you like my sister more than me?" That was when the undercurrent of bitter anger and jealousy began to pour out. To be fair, Blackfire, I don't know you, but I sense there is more to the story besides what you show on the surface, so if you're willing to speak, I'm willing to listen. He offered her a hand. Blackfire couldn't help but be stunned at this. For so long she was used to people automatically agreeing with or siding to her sister that she hadn't even once thought about expressing her side of the feud. Do you know how hard it is to be looked at with distaste and mistrust? To be looked at as an omen or monster by your people? She bitterly remarked, only for Naruto to reach out and gently stroke her hand. More than you know. He gently answered. The look in his eyes had the alien warrior struck by the amount of understanding in them. But what does this have to do with your issues with Starfire? When I was born on Tamarin, there was an attack on a western city. An empire called the Citadel Empire attacked and killed thousands of Tamaranians and claimed it in my name, as I was the first princess born in over 100 years. It did not help that unlike the rest of my people, I was born with darker features not seen in our people for millennia that signified not only bad luck, but treachery, as the dark-featured members of our race were likened to the more chaotic white Martians of today's time until a previous ruler centuries ago had them wiped out. There were those who thought I would grow up with that same madness, and I was attacked as a child, leaving me crippled to the point that I cannot fly under my own power and need enhancing tech or stones to help me fly in space, since I had to be experimented on to allow me to fly at all, she said, cringing a bit at the undoubtedly horrible memory. From the moment I was born, I was nothing but a bad omen to my people, and when she was born they gave her everything that I was denied as my rightful birthright. It makes me so angry and sick to my stomach, because as long as I can remember she has looked up to me, supporting and cheering me and treating me like I'm this older perfect sister, and yet, that deep down that there's this part of me that hates her. That hates her with every fiber of my being, because her existence is every bit of proof that deep down, I really am a monster, and unless I get rid of her, I have no choice but to forever be in her shadow. It took the blonde gently wiping her cheek for her to realize she had been crying. She was further shocked when he draped his arm over her and pulled her close. No one is perfect, Blackfire. We all have our dark sides. The most important thing is to not be overcome by them. If you keep trying to bury these feelings, they are going to drive you to madness, and you really will become the monster you fear. Starfire loves you and will never stop loving you. If you want her to understand, you need to bear your heart out like you did to me. A part of him felt bad that the only reason she felt at ease or compelled to spill such heavy topics to him was the fact he had used a genjutsu to get her to open to him. It was only thanks to his emotion sensing and years of testing that it worked, since illusions by far were still his worst jutsu. I can see why my sister talks about you so fondly in her transmissions. So caring and righteous. You must be quite the ladies' man. She teased him as she wiped the tears from her cheeks that trickled down. And since you're the reason why I am boo-hooing, you owe me big time. She jabbed his finger into his chest. And I expect to collect for every ounce of emotional turmoil. I guess I don't have much of a choice. I think you won't be complaining too much on how I plan to collect it. Blackfire said as she looked him in the eyes, slowly moving her lips closer to his. This time Naruto felt no deceit behind her intent and let it happen. She proved to be as every bit of passionate as her sister, but more adventurous, as the addition of her tongue proved. They were both left panting when she pulled back. We will definitely be continuing later, she added as she reluctantly left his side. It was time to see if the blonde was right and she could bury the hatchet and her hatred for her sister. As she left, she gave an extra shake to her movements, pleased that she had his complete attention. While it was initially true, she only wanted his attention as another means to harm her sister, she realized that she was probably starting to have a thing for him. She wondered if Starfire would be up to sharing. After losing out on her birthright and there's people love, this was the very least she could offer up to make things even. Sisters Part 2. Kitsune Among Titans. 0. Naruto X Harem. 0. Normal speech. Inner thoughts, dialogue, or reading passages from books and scrolls. Quick notes and messages or echoes. Dark overlapping echoes. Boss summons, demons, dark beings speaking, demonic/angry characters speaking, as well as extremely dark spells and magic. 00000. Story start. 00000. For without a doubt this conversation was proving to be the most important in Blackfire's life. Without a doubt, if not for this conversation, the Tamarin would have gone down a dark path as her life slowly filled with anger and hatred. This conversation allowed both sisters to bare their hearts and come to an understanding. The heartwarming scene was soon interrupted by an attack of more of those tentacle boots. The sisters' screams had reached Naruto's ears, alerting him to the danger. Having already fought the machines before, he was able to make quick work of them using wind nature chakra to slice them apart. With this latest attack, it was deemed dangerous to be out in the open, so everyone returned to the tower. In the technology breakdown room, Naruto, Robin, Cyborg, and Starfire had gathered, going over the latest incident that happened. Not only have these things attacked once, but twice now, targeting Starfire and now Blackfire. The question is, how are these things able to track them? Robin questioned. Well, one possibility is that it can track by DNA or maybe energy signatures. Would that be possible? Naruto directed the second question to Starfire. I do not recognize those machines. They look nothing like Gordanian technology, who would be the only ones to have any of our DNA signatures. Well, one thing for sure, these things are drones, Cyborg pointed out as he held up some chips from the machines. From what I can analyze, they lack the sufficient tech or an AI to be autonomous, so we're looking at someone having to have commanded them. For the time being, I think we can all agree that until we can find out who is behind this, then Starfire nor Blackfire should leave the tower. Robin said as everyone nodded. Actually, I might have an idea on who might be after us. Blackfire interjected as she had been escorted down by Raven and Beast Boy. I didn't get the best look at them, but they might be Centauri drones and they may be after me because of these. From her bag she pulled out several green crystals. Centauri crystals, sister, you didn't. Starfire replied with a hint of disapproval. It was the only way I could escape. Blackfire stated as she began to float, much to her sister's surprise. Sister, you can fly? She finished. Yeah, well, not under my own power, only because of my armor. She began to address the group. I'm sure you all by now heard from Starfire the experiments that she went under that gave her the ability to utilize her bolts. She couldn't help but let out a pained, resigned breath. I am more or less a genetic abnormality among Tamarinians. I lack the vibrant redness associated with our grind, and my body constitution isn't as strong. So even despite undergoing the same experimentation, I need the use of tech to be able to fly, and that means I need sources of power to fuel them. Well, I'm sure we can reason with them as long as we return the crystals. Naruto suggested. I can work on trying track their frequency and see if they're willing to come to a peaceful discussion. Cyborg suggested. For so long she had felt isolated. She had felt like an outsider, never being able to find a place where she belonged or felt wanted. Thank you all, this really means a lot, Blackfire said as Naruto smiled at her. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. You're our friend, Blackfire. If we can't count on those close to us, then who can we? When the signal of a ship was detected, everyone had gathered outside. A large, dark vessel with silver metal patterns, and flashing orange and red lights landed near the island. As everyone prepared for the possibility of a fight, Naruto placed a comforting on Blackfire's shoulder to assure her. The trailing visitor speaks in a, we are Centauri police, we are from the Grand Centauri Empire. His voice came out with that of a synthetic voice that has an undertone of organic mixed with it. He seems to hold a badge to the group that bears a unique symbol. We've come here for the Tamaranian girl, she's committed high crimes throughout the entire Centauri system. Officer, I would like to offer up a bargain in regards to freedom of my friend. I assure what I have to offer is worth more than some Centauri crystals. Biting his thumb and running his blood along the seal, out popped out a simple white box with crystalline patterns along the sides and tops. I have heard rumors from some former co-workers that the Demonites were encroaching upon Centauri territory. This environmental destabilizer is keyed into the Demonite signature. It won't last more than a day, but I'm sure with enough resources and research your people should be able to reproduce something similar to it. The team looked at Naruto with mixed expressions, but mostly shock. Robin though was suspicious on how and why had something like that on him. For now we will accept the offer, but bear in mind we will be back if it's determined by our ruler that what you're offering was a hoax. The officers collected the box before leaving for their ship. Moments later, the ship took off, and returned to the dark night of the heavens. I know you're going to wonder, so I'll just come out and say it. I'm the former Justice League member that has essentially gone into retirement. Sage. If he was anything like Bruce, he was sure he had installed the Dark Knight's intrusive and inquisitive nature, meaning he was going to attempt to investigate anything he saw as criminal or a threat. Sage. You're Sage. Robin had exclaimed in surprise. Besides Batman himself, Sage was probably one of the most mysterious members of the League. Not much went into any elaboration of why Sage suddenly disappeared from the active roster besides of personal matters. If he hadn't been so distracted, he might have seen Raven's uncomfortable shuffling. The League has always been more reactive, and that's never been something I agreed to my more active approaches. I was looking into forming alliances and making talk with other races and empires before I parted way with the Leagues. When I heard the word Centauri, it reminded me of that old project I was working on. Thankfully it seemed to be enough to where Robin wasn't going to question things anymore. The following morning arrived and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. The sun was rising to a beautiful morning. Starfire, Blackfire, and Naruto are stood on the roof of the tower. Sister, are you sure you want to do this? Is leaving the only way you can find yourself? She couldn't help but find herself sad. Why did her sister have to leave? Now that they were free from the Citadel and no one was after them, they could enjoy a new life on Earth. She was even invited to join the team by Robin, who figured another strong fighter on the team couldn't hurt. As much as I want to stay here, I feel I need to find out who I am. All my life it was filled by ideas of revenge, jealousy, and hatred. I never cared for others, and all I ever done has been to hurt others. Once I found out who I am, I will be back. For the first time, Blackfire could look at her sister without any jealousy or hatefulness in her eyes. The dark Tamaranian looked over at Naruto, who nodded and smiled at her. She could see that despite the fact he would enjoy her staying here as well, she could take note of his acceptance and understanding. Starfire hugged her sister and cried. The poor redhead only just got her sister back, she didn't want to lose her again. Don't cry, Coriandar. I will come back. I promise you, when I come back, we will finally be able to come together as true sisters, not just in name only. Starfire pulled away from her hug and looked at her sister. While there was still the looking of confidence and determination that it always held, there was now a hint of gentleness and no longer held the need to dominate. There was hope there, hope that wasn't there before. Blackfire smiled at her younger sister, before turning her attention to the blonde, who raised a brow in response. You've given me so much. I don't like owing others, so expect me to pay you back when I get back, got it? It's not really necessary, I did what I did because it was the right thing to do. He assured her. Still, she lingered on it as she closed the distance between them. You two take care of each other, okay? I look forward to showing you two the new me when I get back. She declares as she takes off. Don't take too long to make your move, sister. Don't want some other girl to take your spot as head wife. She waves at them as she bolts across the sea and into the horizon. With a raised eyebrow, Naruto turned to the slightly flustered Tamaranian. Polygamist race, I'm suspecting? I can't say I was ever involved of myself, but I do know of the practice. After all, it was common practices among smaller bloodline clans back in his original life, and was far more common in the old clan days to help strengthen Keki Genkai and grow numbers. Since I am still learning many Earth customs and have learned so far that humans are a bit more prudish. In comparison to my own people, I did not wish to press into matters that could be embarrassing or invasive. Naruto couldn't help but gently smile. He would have been lying to say he wasn't attracted to Starfire, and he did enjoy her company. Still, it was far from saying they knew each other enough to say they were romantically compatible. Well, there was only one way to find out, and worst case scenario, there was nothing wrong with staying friends if things didn't play out in that direction. Hey Starfire, want to join me for a day out? Titan Personal File Number 1, Naruto Uzumaki. Real name, Naruto Uzumaki. Alias, not applicable. Powers, superhuman strength and speed, telekinesis and telepathy, mastery over mana, chi, and psi magic, elemental manipulation, shape-shifting, weapon mastery, immunity to most poisons, rapid healing. Further abilities remain undisclosed. Age, 15. Heritage, Asian. Position, co-leader. Personal skills, fluent in multiple languages, skilled chef, adept mechanic. Further information, classified. So are we absolutely sure everything is going to be secure in this system? Naruto pressed, his voice firm yet understanding. Trust me. I wouldn't be okay with it otherwise, Robin countered, arms crossed. Titan Personal File Number 2, Robin. Alias, Robin. Real name, Grayson. Powers, peak human conditioning through extensive training, expert in martial arts and detective skills, learned from Batman, highly skilled in technology. Wears a costume of body armor, equipped with birdarangs, explosives, grappling gear, and a bow staff. Age, 14. Heritage, Caucasian. Position, leader. Personal skills, mastery in various fighting techniques. 000000. The atmosphere in the Titans' common room shifted as Naruto prepared to share his story. The team, usually so vibrant and full of energy, settled into a rare, reflective silence, each member curious and somewhat apprehensive about the tale about to unfold. Naruto took a deep breath, his expression serious, his eyes holding the weight of memories not easily shared. Back in my world, the title of shinobi isn't just a job, it's an identity, a way of life, Naruto began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. From a young age, we're trained not just in combat, but in survival, strategy, and sacrifice. Being a shinobi means putting the mission, your village, above all else, even your own life. He paused, glancing at his attentive audience, seeing their varied reactions, Starfire's empathy, Beast Boy's wide-eyed fascination, Robin's stern focus, and Raven's quiet understanding. I was born into a world at war, a village constantly under threat. My father was a hero, the fourth Hokage, who sacrificed his life to save our village by sealing a powerful beast inside me, the Nine-Tails Fox. Because of that, I grew up shunned, hated by those who saw me as nothing more than the monster within. Naruto's fists clenched involuntarily, the pain of those early years still evident in his voice. But I refused to be defined by their fear. I trained, fought, and pushed myself beyond my limits to prove I was more than what they feared. I made friends, found a family in my team, and slowly, I began to change minds, to show that I could be a hero, too. He looked around, making eye contact with each Titan in turn. That's the essence of being a shinobi. It's not about the killing, the darkness, or the solitude. It's about fighting for a better future, about protecting those you care for, and sometimes, making the hard choices for the greater good. Robin nodded, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. It sounds like you've had to grow up fast, make decisions no kid should have to. It's not so different from what we do here, fighting for justice, protecting Jump City. Exactly, Naruto agreed, a small smile breaking through. And that's why I know I can learn from all of you, and hopefully, you can learn something from me. Beast Boy, ever the mood lightener, piped up, so, can you teach me how to do that whoosh thing? That was seriously cool. Laughter broke out, easing the tension, and Naruto grinned. Sure, Beast Boy. But it's not just about the whoosh. It's about using your strengths, understanding your opponent, and always fighting with a purpose. As the laughter died down, Starfire approached Naruto, her expression earnest. Naruto, your story is one of great hardship, but also of hope. You have shown that even in darkness, there is light. Raven, usually so reserved, added, and it's a reminder that strength comes not just from power, but from the heart. Naruto looked at his new friends, his new team, and felt a profound sense of belonging. Now, let's get back to training, Naruto declared, standing up, his eyes alight with determination and a hint of mischief. I have a lot to learn, and I believe Beast Boy wanted to start with the whoosh technique. Laughter filled the room once more, as the Teen Titans rallied around their newest member, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. 000000000. Starfire, the team's liaison to extraterrestrial cultures, found herself grappling with earthly customs, a struggle that culminated in a well-intentioned culinary disaster. The incident left emotions running high, revealing the depth of the Titans' bond and their commitment to supporting one another through trials both big and small. Titan Personal File Number 2, Starfire. Real name, Coriandar. Powers, possesses the natural Tamaranian abilities of flight and enhanced strength, with a unique proficiency in absorbing and converting solar energy into powerful force beams. This ability, amplified by alien experimentation, allows for faster energy absorption and the projection of force beams with increased power and range. Starfire's warrior training complements her formidable physical abilities. Despite her fierce prowess in battle, she remains profoundly emotional, embodying both the kindness and the wrath inherent to her nature. Heritage, Tamaranian. Age, 14. Position, Liaison for Extraterrestrial Relations. 00000000000. Drawn by the echo of sobs to Starfire's quarters, Naruto discovered the aftermath of her attempt to bridge worlds through cuisine, an endeavor that had nearly ended in disaster for Titan's Tower. The incident had sparked a heated exchange with Robin, leaving Starfire distraught and fleeing from her friends. Recognizing the moment as a misunderstanding rather than malice, Naruto sought to mend fences and uplift spirits. "Hey, Star, are you okay?" Naruto inquired softly, stepping into her room with a compassionate gaze. "Oh, friend Naruto," Starfire wept, the pain of her failure and Robin's harsh words still fresh. "I only wish to share a piece of my world with everyone." SSH, it's okay," Naruto reassured, enveloping her in a comforting embrace. "You're not a ditz, Star." Emotions ran high, that's all. "I'll help you navigate Earth's customs, and we'll all learn from each other." Her tears slowly subsided as hope flickered in her eyes. "Really? You would do that?" "Of course," Naruto smiled, a promise of understanding and unity. 00000000000. Naruto's next conversation unfolded with Cyborg, who carried his own burdens. "Share whatever you're comfortable with, Sai. There's no expectation to revisit past pain," Naruto offered, an open invitation without the weight of obligation. Cyborg appreciated the discretion, a nod to the trust and respect that underpinned the Titans' relationships. Titan Personal File Number 3, Cyborg. Real name, Victor Stone Powers. Victor's transformation into Cyborg has granted him extraordinary capabilities. His body, a blend of advanced molybdenum steel and cutting-edge technology, offers him enhanced strength and durability far beyond that of a normal human. A cybernetic eye not only provides enhanced vision but also interfaces seamlessly with virtually any computer system. His arsenal includes a variety of weapons, with the right-handed sonic cannon being notably formidable. Beyond combat, Cyborg is an expert engineer and mechanic, often responsible for the maintenance and upgrading of Titan's Tower's defenses and systems. Age, 15. Heritage, African American. Position, team's primary mechanic, weapons specialist, and go-to technician for all things tech. 0000000. Cyborg's technical prowess was complemented by Raven's more mystical abilities. "Hey Ray, whenever you're ready," Cyborg offered gently, knowing her past was fraught with complexity and pain. "I don't have much to tell," Raven responded, her voice a murmur, though the depth of her story was vast and waiting to be shared. Titan Personal File Number 4, Raven. Real name, uses Rachel Roth as an alias. Powers. Raven wields significant telekinetic and telepathic powers, primarily channeled through her soul self, a manifestation of her mystical energies. Her empathic abilities enable her to heal or soothe by absorbing others' pain or emotions. A skilled sorceress, Raven's powers and her full potential remain partly untapped and mysterious, including sporadic precognitive abilities and temporal manipulation. Age, 15. Position, potential healer and invaluable member in mystical matters. 0000000000000. Amidst the team's diverse abilities, Beast Boy's energy and versatility shine through. "Dude, you should," he chimed in with his usual enthusiasm, only to be met with Naruto's playful yet firm response. "Beast Boy, you know the drill. You must write me a 3-page essay stating the pros and cons of said suggestions," Naruto replied, setting a challenge that was part discipline, part jest. Titan Personal File Number 5, Beast Boy. Real name, Garfield Logan. Powers. Beast Boy possesses the unique ability to transform into any animal, real or mythical, with all the inherent abilities of that form. However, these transformations must adhere to the physical accuracies of the chosen animal, limiting his ability to exploit mythical animals' fantastical powers. While his power offers incredible versatility, overexertion or significant shifts in size and form can tax him physically and mentally. Nevertheless, his resilience and adaptability make him a dynamic force within the team. Age, 13. Position, the team's versatile wild card, capable of adapting to any situation with his transformative abilities. Together, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy represent the heart of the Teen Titans' strength, diversity in abilities and backgrounds, yet unified in purpose. Each member, with their unique challenges and strengths, contribute to the team's success and to the intricate tapestry of support and camaraderie that defines the Teen Titans. 00000000000. In the shadowy realm of cyber interactions, where the glow of a computer screen often heralds the convergence of murky intentions, a hooded figure initiated contact with one of the most feared mercenaries known to the superhero community. Deathstroke the Terminator. The figure's voice, distorted by technology, cut through the digital silence with a proposition that hinted at old vendettas and unsettled scores. "You are the one they refer to as Deathstroke the Terminator, am I correct?" the hooded figure inquired, their tone laced with a mix of respect and caution. Slade Wilson, known to the world as Deathstroke, responded with a measured calm that came from years of operating in the shadows of legality and morality. "I am. I've heard rumors that you've been in search of an assassin." "Yes," the figure confirmed, their words unfolding the storied past of Deathstroke. They recounted his transformation into a metahuman soldier by secret military experiments aimed at creating an elite fighting force for the U.S. military. They spoke of his defiance, his honor, and the tragic tale of his family, a narrative marked by betrayal, loss, and a relentless pursuit of personal codes of conduct that often set him at odds with the world he inhabited. The recounting of Deathstroke's history served to weave a complex tapestry of a man shaped by both his unparalleled abilities and his profound losses. The tale of his son, Joseph, held hostage and irreparably harmed in an attempt to manipulate Deathstroke, highlighted the mercenary's unwavering adherence to his principles, even at a great personal cost. "I don't know whether to be unnerved or impressed," the hooded figure admitted, reflecting the duality of Deathstroke's existence, both a formidable adversary and a figure embodying a tragic heroism. "A little of both, honestly," Deathstroke replied, his voice betraying no emotion. "My identity doesn't mean much, you'll find all you need to know." The conversation then veered into the present, the hooded figure broaching the subject of the Teen Titans and the unresolved vendetta surrounding the death of Grant, Deathstroke's other son. The figure insinuated that Naruto, the Titans' newest member, and Starfire, with her tumultuous arrival on Earth, bore responsibility for Grant's fate, a narrative angle designed to manipulate Deathstroke's notorious drive for vengeance. "I'm going to offer you the contract one of my colleagues in HIV offered before," the figure proposed, setting the stage for a potential confrontation steeped in the complexities of past deeds and current allegiances. "There is no set time limit, but I do have a few suggestions." The offer hung in the air, a digital pact that promised to further entangle the lives of the Titans with one of their most relentless adversaries. In the world of heroes and villains, where allegiances shift as quickly as shadows, the ramifications of this conversation threatened to ripple through the lives of all involved, heralding a confrontation that could redefine the boundaries between justice and revenge. Morning light filtered through the windows of Titan's Tower, painting swaths of gold across the central living space and leaving the corners in soft shadow. Not long ago, these beams of dawn would have caught the Titans at the kitchen table, bickering over pizza toppings or flipping through channels for Saturday morning cartoons. But today was different. Today, Naruto and Starfire had carved out a rare moment of private time for themselves. No emergent alarms blared. No half-constructed mission briefings. No frantic bellow from Cyborg about a dimension-hopping threat. The place was virtually still, except for the rhythmic hum of the tower's ventilation and the faint beep of the security system. It felt like a lull between storms, a delicate pocket of space in which something personal could finally bloom. Naruto stood near the corridor, arms draped over his chest. He glanced up when he sensed a stirring, golden aura from across the hallway. Starfire emerged from her room. She had changed out of her usual sleeveless Tamaranian armor, purple bands hugging her arms and midriff, and opted for something more earth casual. She wore a flowing light green sundress embroidered with small, symmetrical patterns that glimmered under the corridor lights. Even so, it was undeniably Starfire, bright, spirited, and just a bit out of sync with Earth fashion. She hovered a few inches off the ground without even realizing it. When her eyes found Naruto, a radiant, unabashed grin curved over her lips. "I am prepared for our day of friend bonding," she declared. A quiet laugh welled up in Naruto's chest. "Yeah," he said, nodding eagerly, "me too." They'd talked about this bonding day for weeks in an offhand way. "We should really visit that big park in Midtown once things calm down. Remember that waffle place we saw on the news?" But never had they seized the chance to make a real plan. Now, at last, with the city quiet and the other Titans busy, it felt like the perfect time for a real outing. Exiting through Titan's Tower's front gate felt oddly ceremonial, as if crossing an invisible threshold from hero duties to civilian joys. For Starfire, floating just a few inches above the pavement, the day was wide open to possibilities. They made their way across the bridge that connected Titan's Island to the city proper. The ocean wind tousled Starfire's flame-red hair and tugged at Naruto's short blonde locks. Neither of them spoke for a few moments, content to enjoy the hush and the gentle rush of sea breeze. Some gulls flew overhead, cawing in search of a stray French fry or morning fish. At about the halfway point on the bridge, Starfire drifted a bit higher, her green eyes sparkling. "I can see the city from here." She turned back to Naruto. "It is so peaceful right now. Usually, I see so many bright vehicles, and the beeping that Raven calls annoyingly constant. But we are early enough that it is quiet." Naruto gave a half-smile, half-nod as he peered out at the skyline, skyscrapers gilded by morning light. "Sometimes, it's nice to catch it at this hour. Before everything really starts up." A fleeting thought crossed his mind. He'd rarely had moments like this, where he could just be a normal person exploring a city with someone he liked. Once they reached the downtown district, small clusters of people strolled the sidewalks. A couple of onlookers recognized Naruto and Starfire from the city's many televised battles. Some waved politely, while others kept a respectful distance, observing with curiosity but not intruding. Jump City was used to the Titans by now, used to costumed heroes dropping in at weird angles, or even the occasional alien's blazing starbolt. Still, seeing Naruto Uzumaki and Starfire out in casual clothes, walking side by side, was a bit of a novelty. At an intersection, Naruto shifted on his heels. So, we've got about 100 options. We could get breakfast at that pancake place you keep talking about. We could check out the boardwalk, the arcade, or that new bookstore just a few blocks away. Or we can. Pancakes, Starfire said, as if the word itself were the highest form of poetry. Then her face softened, worried she might have interrupted him. I mean, you said pancakes, yes? That is what I desire. At least, that is what I think I desire. The sweet, cakey discs that Beast Boy tried to replicate once but accidentally set on fire? Naruto chuckled. Yeah, that's the stuff. All right, pancakes first. Then we can see where the day goes. For an instant, Starfire's eyes shone even brighter if that were possible. She clasped her hands together. Glorious. So they set off. The sweet smell of fresh pastries wafted through the air, mingling with the city's vibrant energy, car horns, faint construction noise, and the swirl of early-hour chatter from coffee shops. Naruto's stomach gave an approving growl at the thought of a decent breakfast that wasn't leftover pizza or freeze-dried emergency rations. 0000000000000. Their destination was a bustling, somewhat retro cafe called the Pancake Paradise, perched on the corner of a busy main street. A row of large windows gleamed in the sunlight, and inside, Naruto could see pastel chairs, formica tables, and waitresses in cheerful aprons weaving between customers. Starfire opened the door with a delighted hum. It is adorable inside, she remarked, half floating into the restaurant. A good chunk of patrons turned curiously, maybe recognizing them as Titans or simply noticing Starfire's bright hair and the way she drifted an inch or two above the floor. A hostess, short-haired, bright-eyed, broke into a broad smile. Hi, she greeted, glancing uncertainly between Naruto and Starfire. Are you two? Just two, Naruto answered, returning the smile. We need a table, if that's cool. Of course, the hostess said. Right this way. She led them to a cozy booth near the window. Naruto slid in first, Starfire followed suit, her eyes darting around excitedly at the decor. The seat cushions were bubblegum pink, the table a swirl of pastel swirling shapes. As soon as they had settled, a waitress came by to introduce herself, a woman in her mid-30s with a teal apron, a pad of paper in hand. Welcome, folks. My name's Dahlia, and I'll be your server. What can I get you to drink to start? Starfire took in a breath. Yes, I would very much enjoy a beverage recommended by you, friend Dahlia. Preferably something sweet. Dahlia smiled at the Tamaranian's friendly approach. Well, we're famous for our strawberry vanilla milkshake. If you like sweet, that might be right up your alley. Naruto grinned at how eager Starfire looked at the mere mention of a milkshake. We'll do 2 strawberry vanilla milkshakes. And I'll take a coffee, black. Dahlia noted it down. Sounds good. I'll be back with those in a jiffy. When she disappeared, Starfire turned excitedly to Naruto. She is incredibly kind. I like this place. Naruto nodded, leaning an elbow on the table. It's definitely got a nice vibe. I usually just pick up something quick to eat when I'm in a rush, so I've never actually sat down here. Glad we came. She reached for a laminated menu, eyes flitting over the pictures of stacked pancakes drizzled with syrups, whipped cream, or chocolate sprinkles. Each image brought an audible little gasp from her. I believe I would like to try the banana chocolate pancakes, or possibly the stack with the bits of crunchy bacon. Does bacon mix well with pancakes? Naruto laughed. Yes, weirdly enough, it does. Salty sweet combo. Hard to go wrong. Within a few moments, Dahlia returned with the drinks, a pair of tall milkshake glasses topped by whipped cream and bright red cherries. Starfire's expression lit up as she cradled the glass in her hands. She took a tentative sip, her eyes going wide with delight. This milkshake is the most pleasant beverage I have tasted in quite some time, she declared, a tiny pink mustache of whipped cream collecting at her upper lip. Naruto tried not to laugh at how adorable she looked. She cocked her head, noticing him grin. Did I do something comedic? He cleared his throat. You got a little whipped cream, right? Reaching across, he gently brushed it off with a napkin. There. Her cheeks colored with a faint rosy glow as she thanked him. Then she resumed sipping the milkshake, this time more attentively, savoring each gulp. Naruto sipped his coffee, letting the bitterness ground him. They soon placed orders. Starfire went with the banana chocolate pancake stack plus a side of crispy bacon, while Naruto, feeling more traditional, got a short stack of blueberry pancakes, scrambled eggs, and a side of sausage. He also couldn't resist adding a small dish of miso soup if they had it, though in a diner like this, that might be a long shot. To his pleasant surprise, they did have a form of soup on the menu. As they waited for the food, the two chatted easily. Starfire described her latest attempts at using some earth cookware, thankfully supervised by Raven, who knew a decent amount about controlling small fires. Naruto recounted trying to explain the concept of ramen to Beast Boy, who had been horrified at first by the presence of fish cake spirals until he discovered they were purely flavor-based and not some rare sea creature. For Naruto, it was a relief that Starfire didn't press him about any heavy topics. She was curious about his origin, yes, but she respected that some stories were too dense for a casual outing. Meanwhile, he liked hearing more about her experiences with Earth culture, the movies she'd enjoyed, the outfits that perplexed her, like the purpose of wearing 2 shoes with extremely high sticks attached, i.e. high heels. It was just comfortable conversation, tinted with mild curiosity and a constant undercurrent of budding affection. Their food arrived in modest time. The plates were downright sumptuous. Starfire's came stacked so high that whipped cream threatened to topple from the top pancake, while Naruto's were golden brown, nestled alongside bright fruit. The alluring smell of sweet batter and sizzling bacon hung between them, making their stomachs rumble in unison. Starfire didn't wait. She cut a neat triangle of pancake, speared it with her fork, and took an enormous bite. This is splendid, she exclaimed, mouth half full but eyes shining. The flavors, they swirl inside my mouth like the joyous carnival rides. Naruto laughed, digging into his own. You've got a way with words, Star. He took a big forkful of his blueberry pancake. Between contented bites, they shared small exclamations, about the crispness of the bacon, the fluffiness of the pancakes, or the surprising mix of sweet and savory. Dahlia stopped by a couple times to top off Naruto's coffee, and each time, Starfire singled out something new to compliment about the meal, like the swirl pattern on the whipped cream or the slight hint of cinnamon in the batter. At one point, Starfire dared to try a piece of pancake dipped in what was left of the strawberry milkshake. Oh! This might be excessive, she giggled, as a single drop of pink sauce dripped from her fork. But also, it might be extremely tasty. She popped it into her mouth, closed her eyes as the sweetness took over, then let out a delighted squeal. I highly recommend that you attempt this as well, Naruto. Naruto arched a brow but took the challenge in good humor, swirling a morsel of blueberry pancake into his leftover milkshake. The combination was sweet upon sweet, maybe borderline too much sugar, but the indulgence felt appropriate for a day like this. He gave an approving nod. That's definitely a sugar overload, but, yeah, that's pretty good. The meal left them both feeling warm and sated, and Dahlia eventually dropped off the check with a good-natured wink. Naruto insisted on paying, though Starfire tried to protest, saying she wished to contribute Earth currency. having picked up some allowances from the city's stipend for Titans. He simply tapped the money onto the check tray. "Don't worry, I got it. You can pay next time if you want." The suggestion of next time made them both smile, though they didn't dwell on it verbally. Full and happy, they stepped outside into the mid-morning sun. The traffic had picked up, the sidewalk was lively. Naruto stretched his arms overhead, letting out a satisfied groan. "Ah, that was good. I might need a nap after that kind of meal." "Truly, I understand," Starfire said. "We have consumed so many sweets, my energy is in complete overdrive, and yet, I could also lie down for restful dozing." They shared another laugh, then Naruto turned slightly, hooking his thumbs in his pockets. "We could walk around to help us digest? Maybe check out some shops or that boardwalk?" Her eyes lit with that childlike wonder again. "Oh, yes, the boardwalk. With the carnival games and the rides that spin until you must hold your stomach in place, yes? That's the one." A fond grin curled Naruto's lips. "Let's go." A short bus ride or a 20-minute walk took them from the urban center to the wharf district, which opened into a scenic boardwalk along the coastline. It was a sunny, airy stretch lined with vendor carts, amusements, and the faint echo of carnival music. Ferris wheels turned overhead, bright signage advertising funnel cakes, saltwater taffy, and grilled seafood. Wooden planks creaked underfoot, and gulls drifted in the breeze, occasionally diving to snatch stray morsels dropped by tourists. Starfire took a long, sweeping look across the entire area. "It is so, how do you Earthlings say it, quaint? Nostalgic?" "Yeah, that's about right," Naruto agreed, hands in his pockets as they ambled forward. "Feels comforting in a way. I used to read about places like this and wonder how it'd be to just spend time here, not worrying about anything else." She nodded. "I am pleased we can do so today. Perhaps we should partake in some of the amusements. I see many bright lights and hear the laughter of children." They stopped at a row of small carnival-style booths, each hosting a game. One was ring toss, another had water guns aimed at targets, and a third had a big stuffed gorilla as the grand prize for popping balloons with darts. The owners hollered for passers-by to try their luck. "Oh, let's do it," Naruto declared, stepping up to the balloon pop game. The sign overhead read, "Pop 3 balloons, win a small prize, pop 5, win a medium, pop all, win the biggest prize." A bored teenage employee behind the counter perked up at the sight of the pair. "Hey, you wanna play?" He handed Naruto 5 darts when Naruto paid the small fee. The stall's side bins were stacked with plush animals or imitation jewelry that gleamed in the midday sun. Naruto took a breath, feeling the faint swirl of chakra within. He couldn't not be in control, but he also didn't want to cheat blatantly. These games were meant for normal folks, and using superpowers or chakra precision was definitely an unfair advantage. So he took each dart with a normal grip, aimed for a cluster of balloons, and gave it a gentle toss. The first dart soared true, popping a balloon with a high-pitched pop. Starfire clapped lightly. "Yes, you did it." Naruto let a grin spread across his face. Next dart, pop. A second balloon deflated. Third dart he aimed a little too hastily. It hit the edge of a balloon, not enough force to pop it, and fell to the wooden floor. "Arg," he grumbled good-naturedly, hearing Starfire's small gasp of dismay behind him. He shook his head. "Well, can't win them all, right?" Next dart, pop. That was 3. He had 1 dart left and needed 2 more balloons to get a medium or large prize. The final throw was almost comedic. He let it go, and it wobbled, bouncing off the corner of the booth and missing entirely. The teen worker shrugged, "At least you popped 3. That gets you a small prize." He motioned to the bottom row. "Take your pick." Naruto scanned the stuffed animals, a purple octopus, a bright green cactus, a red alien plush, and a small cat keychain. He looked over his shoulder at Starfire. See anything you like? Her face lit up as she pointed timidly to the purple octopus. That creature looks quite adorable. May I? The worker handed over the stuffed octopus, and Starfire cradled it in both arms, floating an inch or so off the ground. Thank you, friend Naruto. I shall treasure this kind, squishy cephalopod. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck, a playful smirk on his lips. Well, I wish I could have gotten the top prize for you, but hey, the octopus is still pretty cool. She gave the plush a soft squeeze. Yes, I love it already. Next, they ambled along to the rides. Various contraptions swirled overhead, whirling teacups, a tilt-a-whirl, a small roller coaster that looped over the water's edge. Naruto suggested trying the Ferris wheel first, something slow and scenic. Starfire quickly agreed. They bought a couple of tickets, then stepped up onto the platform to board a bright yellow gondola car shaped somewhat like a clam. With a squeak and a soft jolt, the ride started, carrying them upward. The city stretched out behind them, the ocean glinted in front, and the gulls cruised overhead. Starfire clasped her stuffed octopus in her lap, hugging it as the wind brushed her hair around. I have flown over this city many times, she said softly, but this is different. We are stationary, ascending steadily, side by side. It feels more quiet, more personal. Naruto nodded, taking a moment to appreciate the vantage. Yeah, plus you're not worried about bumping into a building or anything, he joked lightly. After a pause, he added, it's nice, you know? Relaxing. When they reached the top, the gondola swayed gently. Starfire turned her gaze to Naruto, luminous green eyes carrying a certain spark of curiosity. Naruto, I hope it is not intrusive to ask, but, you do not have many days like this, yes? You have always been, how do I say, occupied with missions or training? He let out a slow breath. Pretty much. In my old world, I was constantly trying to get stronger, to prove myself, to protect the people I cared about. Here, it's been kinda the same, bouncing between emergencies, working side jobs to pay the bills. So, yeah, days like this aren't exactly my norm. Her expression softened. I, too, find these moments rare. Although my home planet had festivals, I was a princess. Princesses do not always get to roam freely. We had duties and watchful guards, and also, I was singled out. Naruto understood the subtext, her people's complicated stance regarding her powers or her birth. The whir of the Ferris wheel's engine punctuated the silence, and behind them, carnival music drifted in the breeze. He placed his hand gently over hers. Guess we both missed out on a lot of normal stuff, he murmured. But I'm glad we're getting to do this together, you know? A gentle rose hue spread across her cheeks. She placed her free hand over his, giving it a small squeeze. I am so glad as well. Any further words were swept away by a wave of contentment. Together they gazed out at the city and ocean until the Ferris wheel carried them back down. After the Ferris wheel, they spent a solid hour drifting from stall to stall, ride to ride, enjoying small amusements. They tested their bravery on a mild roller coaster that looped near the water. Starfire insisted on riding in the very front car for optimal thrill, and Naruto did his best not to show that the initial drop gave him a jolt in his stomach. Starfire, on the other hand, squealed with delight the entire ride. When they finally decided they'd had their fill of carnival amusements, the pair ambled past the boardwalk's row of shops. Glass panels displayed sunglasses, flip-flops, or surfboards. Starfire lingered at one store that boasted tie-dye dresses and beach-themed tank tops. She eyed a vibrant scarf that shimmered with turquoise threads. Naruto could sense she liked it, but also that she hesitated to just buy something for herself. Go ahead, he encouraged gently. If you like it, get it. She shook her head a bit, a faint look of guilt passing her features. I do not wish to be lavish with the city's funds. My own finances are not as large as yours, friend Naruto, and I do not wish to impose." A small wave of protective fondness rolled through him. He recalled all the time she'd given to others without hesitation, like paying for Beast Boy's groceries when he overspent, or volunteering to help Cyborg fix T-vehicles. She never once asked for a reward. "You deserve a little treat," he said, stepping inside the shop. Starfire floated behind him, still hugging her stuffed octopus. Inside, the place smelled of coconut incense and played soft reggae music. Naruto found the shimmering scarf and beckoned a staffer. He paid out of his own pocket, ignoring Starfire's protests. "It's a gift," he declared, gently offering her the bag. Starfire blinked, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, hugging the bag to her chest. "I shall wear it with pride. And if you ever desire a gift from me, I will strive to find something just as pleasing." Naruto flushed. "Hey, I'm just glad you like it. That's enough." They strolled out, scarves and plush octopus in hand. The day was wearing on, the sun perched high overhead. They realized they had lost track of time in the pleasant meandering. It had turned to midday, and the carnival crowd had thickened with families and tourists. Feeling a bit too warm from the direct sun, they decided to step off the boardwalk into a side street with more shade. The low hum of traffic replaced the carnival music. Shop awnings provided a bit of respite from the bright sun. A wave of comfortable silence passed between them. Naruto found he didn't need to fill every pause with chatter. Starfire seemed equally at peace, drifting along at his side. Occasionally, her hand would brush his, and both would share shy smiles. Eventually, Starfire's stomach produced a low, not quite ladylike rumble. She placed a hand there, giggling. "It appears my appetite for pancakes wore off faster than I expected. Does that mean I am gluttonous?" Naruto patted his own stomach. "Nah. We burned a lot of energy with all the rides. Might as well find something for lunch, yeah?" "Indeed." She lit up, scanning the street signs for some hint of a good eatery. Perhaps a place that sells earth's shakes of the milk, or also something savory. They started passing by various storefronts, an Italian pizzeria, a sub-sandwich shop, a fancy bistro with crisp tablecloths. Starfire paused near the bistro window. She saw couples inside, sharing intimate lunches. She glanced at Naruto, who gave a questioning look. "Is that an appealing place to dine?" he asked. She nodded uncertainly. "Yes, but it seems formal. Would we be required to wear neckties?" Naruto gave an amused snort. "You know, maybe. But we can see if they allow casual diners. If it's not too pricey, we can go for it." Pushing open the door, they were greeted by an air-conditioned breeze and quiet, refined decor. White linen, subdued lighting, and a polite hostess in a crisp blouse. The sign up front read, "Le Rêve de la Mer," some French name that Naruto could only half translate as the dream of the sea. They exchanged a quick glance. Are we out of our depth? But the hostess beamed at them. "Oh. Table for two?" They nodded, and before they knew it, they were seated in a cozy corner near a window, with a view of the passing street outside. The bistro's hush was a contrast to the carnival's lively bustle. Naruto set the plush octopus and Starfire's new scarf carefully at the bench's edge, as a waitress slipped them 2 water glasses and menus. Immediately, Naruto spotted the fancy French terms and realized they might be paying top dollar for these dishes: filet de poisson sauce citron, poulet rôti au romarin. He let out a nervous grin, remembering he'd promised to treat. But hey, a special day warranted a little extravagance, right? Starfire, on the other hand, flipped through the menu with intense curiosity. She recognized none of the items but was drawn to the descriptions referencing fresh produce or rich sauces. "Naruto, what does it mean to have food served avec un glaçage au beurre?" She sounded out each word slowly. Naruto scratched his head. Something about, with a butter glaze, I think. He was about as far from a French culinary expert as one could get. One of the waitstaff came over, noticing their confusion. "Would you like me to recommend something?" he offered politely. Starfire brightened. "Yes, please. I only know that we wish to partake in something that is both savory and possibly sweet, though not as sweet as the pancake or the milkshake from earlier." The waiter's lips twitched in a contained smile. "Certainly. Our salmon fillet with lemon butter glaze is quite popular, and it comes with roasted vegetables. It's a balanced dish, mildly tangy, a bit rich, but not overly sweet. Or you could try our rosemary roasted chicken if you want something heartier. That also comes with side vegetables and a light sauce." Starfire turned to Naruto, who gave an affirming nod. "Salmon sounds good. Let's do that." Then he looked at the waiter. "I'll have the same, plus a side of mashed potatoes." The waiter jotted it down. "Any starters? Soups? Salads?" Naruto glanced at Starfire, who shrugged. He answered, "Maybe just some bread, if it's included." "I think that'll be plenty." "Of course," the waiter said smoothly. "I'll be back shortly." Once they were alone again, a mild hush fell. Naruto took a sip of water. Through the window, the city's movement continued. A few passers-by glimpsed them inside, some pointed, likely recognizing the Titan duo, but no one dared to interrupt in such a fancy environment. Starfire reclined in her seat, hands folded in her lap. "I feel unusual," she confessed. "As though we are doing something more than just sharing a meal." "Is that silly?" Naruto blinked at her earnestness. "It's not silly. I guess we're not just teammates hanging out, you know? It's, well, it feels kinda like a date. If that's okay to say." A flicker of surprise and something else, gratitude, maybe, passed over her face. She exhaled softly. "I am glad. Because if it did not feel that way, I would be disappointed." A sheepish smile tugged at her lips. "Though the concept of dates is still a bit new to me. On Tamarin, we have different customs for courtship and bonding." Naruto's cheeks warmed. "I was so busy chasing my goals that I never really did casual dating like most people normally did. Thinking about it now, I do lament on how much I missed out on, but my life is here now, so just focus on the now, you know. Not a big deal." A sympathetic hand settled on top of Naruto's. He looked up to find Starfire's gaze, warm with gentle support. "It is never, not a big deal, to mourn for those no longer in your life," she said softly. "I too know the sadness of being separated from family, from a home that does not fully accept you. Perhaps that is something we share." Naruto turned his hand, lacing his fingers briefly with hers. The sun highlighted faint hints of golden fire in her hair. "Maybe that's why we get along," he whispered, voice suddenly thick. "But it's nice to be able to talk about it. With you. Without it feeling heavy." She offered a kind nod. "I feel the same. We can talk without fear. I trust you, Naruto." Before either could say more, the waiter returned with a small basket of fresh baguette slices and butter. They withdrew their hands. The conversation pivoted to the simpler matter of how unbelievably good fresh bread smelled. Starfire tore into a slice, wide-eyed at the crisp crust and soft interior. Naruto couldn't help but grin at her unbridled delight. She was the only person he knew who could make eating bread look like a magical experience. When the main dishes arrived, the salmon fillets sat in a light lemon butter sauce, ringed by roasted vegetables that glistened with faint oil. Starfire marveled at the arrangement, remarking that it resembled a small orchard of color. Naruto had to stifle a laugh at her earnestness. She seemed to treat every new dish like it was an art piece. He tried the salmon, humming contentedly. "Oh yeah, that's good. It's got that tangy lemon zest with the rich butter, definitely better than the cup noodles I used to eat for lunch all the time. She carefully tested her portion, then let out a quiet moan of approval. This is so delicate in flavor. Very unlike the robust spiciness I recall from some Tamaranian festival feasts. So, Tamaranian dishes are usually spicy? Naruto inquired, chewing a piece of fish. Starfire nodded, brightening. Often, yes. We use many Zorka seeds for heat. I once attempted to replicate them with Earth's chili peppers, but Beast Boy nearly fainted from the intensity. And Raven told me never to experiment again without her supervision. She giggled, recalling the comedic memory. But perhaps with practice, I can make something that is enjoyable for you, too. I'd like that, Naruto said sincerely. I have a decent spice tolerance. Maybe you can slowly scale up the heat so we don't traumatize poor Beast Boy. She laughed. Yes, I promise. No traumatizing Beast Boy. Another comfortable pause followed as they savored the meal. At some point, Naruto's phone beeped with a text. He took a quick glance. It was from Cyborg, something about, "Stop hogging all the fun," and a bunch of random emojis. Naruto smirked but decided not to answer. Let them wonder. Today was for him and Star. Halfway through the meal, Starfire touched her new scarf. I wish to try it on. May I see how it looks with my current attire? Naruto shrugged, curious. Sure, go for it. She delicately pulled out the turquoise scarf. With an innate sense of grace, she draped it around her shoulders, letting the ends frame her sundress. The subtle shimmer caught the overhead lights, giving her an ethereal glow. Naruto felt something in his chest tighten at the sight. She looked radiant, in a quietly stunning way. How does it appear? She asked, half self-conscious, half playful. He swallowed. It looks perfect on you, Star. A grin tugged at his cheeks. I'm really glad you let me get that for you. Her own smile softened, and for a second or two, they just let the moment hang there. Bellies full and hearts warm, Naruto and Starfire left the bistro behind. The mid-afternoon sun had begun its journey westward, painting the city with a gentler glow. Soft breezes carried the scent of ocean salt and city pavement, an oddly pleasant combination. They wandered aimlessly, letting the mood guide them. They found themselves in a smaller neighborhood near the coast, where the architecture had a vintage charm, two-story buildings with balconies, mosaic tiles along sidewalks, a calm that contrasted the downtown hustle. People passed by on bikes, and couples strolled hand in hand with ice cream cones. Naruto and Starfire fell easily into step beside each other. Eventually, they stumbled upon a small urban park, complete with iron benches, an ornate fountain in the center, and big leafy trees that dappled the ground with shade. The fountain's gentle splash invited them to pause. Starfire set the plush octopus in her lap and readjusted her scarf while Naruto lowered himself onto the bench next to her. This is lovely, she said, her voice subdued, as if not to disturb the tranquil hush. Naruto glanced around. Yeah, it's nice to take a moment, huh? For a while, they simply watched the fountain's water arc into the air, droplets sparkling in the sunlight. A group of pigeons waddled across the pavement, pecking for seeds. A little distance away, a street performer strummed a gentle tune on his guitar, adding a pleasant background melody. Starfire's gaze drifted to Naruto. Thank you for everything today, she said softly. I know it might not appear so, but I am not used to being, well, fussed over. She fidgeted with the plush octopus. You have purchased me gifts, taken me to a fancy meal. It is all so kind. He chuckled lightly. I mean, you're always so giving to the team. It felt right to treat you for a change. Besides, we're friends, or, maybe. He paused, something catching in his throat. Maybe something more if you're interested. She tilted her head, eyes searching. Naruto, do you feel like you might want to pursue a romantic bond with me? Yeah, he confessed, cheeks warming. I just really like being around you. I enjoy your spirit, the way you see beauty in everything. And I want to keep seeing that. A moment's hush. Starfire slid closer, her slender hands resting on his. I, too, share these feelings. When we are together, I sense a warmth. Not the same as with the other titans, though I love each of them in my own way. This is different. There is a closeness I have not felt with others before. Naruto rubbed his thumbs gently over the backs of her hands, feeling an odd mixture of excitement and relief swirl in his chest. So, what do we call this? A confident glimmer in her eyes. We can see how it unfolds. If it is permitted, I would like to share in more outings, more times of closeness. And perhaps we can, as Earth folk say, date exclusively for a time. I find that idea appealing. Naruto's heart felt like it might burst from his chest. Yeah, that sounds perfect. She shifted, drawing him into a gentle embrace. The light breeze ruffled their hair and teased the new turquoise scarf at her shoulders. He buried his face against her neck for a moment, inhaling the faint floral scent that always lingered around her, quite possibly some alien fragrance. The rest of the world seemed to blur into gentle background noise. 00. As the afternoon rolled on, they decided to spend the last few hours by the shoreline. Jump City had a pleasant beach strip just south of the boardwalk, quieter than the carnival zone, where locals sometimes gathered for bonfires or romantic strolls. The sand was warm underfoot, the ocean's rhythmic crashing a soothing soundtrack. Starfire let her sandals dangle from her fingertips, stepping barefoot into the gentle lapping waves at the shore. Her giggle rang out each time the foamy water crept up her ankles. Naruto walked at her side, also barefoot, jeans rolled up to avoid getting soaked. At one point, Starfire kicked a tiny wave of water in his direction. Huh, she teased, her eyes sparkling with playful mischief. Oh, it's on now, Naruto grinned. He flicked some water back, just enough to splash around her shins. She yelped in feigned outrage, then retaliated with a slightly larger wave. Soon, they were half-running across the shallows, throwing arcs of water at each other. The salt-laced breeze caught Starfire's hair, painting a mesmerizing image as she hovered just slightly above the surface, squealing with laughter. Naruto nearly lost his footing on a rock, but managed to keep upright, sending a hearty spray her way. Eventually, they were panting, cheeks flushed, hair damp from the salt spray. The air smelled of brine and freedom. Starfire's broad grin softened to a tender smile. Naruto's gaze lingered on her, mind whirling with affection. They found a drier patch of sand and sat. Starfire laid the plush octopus safely on a towel she'd brought from the tower, and Naruto rummaged in a small beach bag for a bottle of water. They passed it back and forth, rehydrating and letting the wind dry their clothes. Slowly, the sun began its descent, painting the horizon in streaks of orange and gold, merging with the rippling ocean to form a dazzling mirror of light. Starfire's eyes reflected that sunset glow as she turned to Naruto. Earth's sunsets are so lovely. We have 2 suns on Tamarin, so the sky is often quite bright. When both descend, it is a longer, more chaotic color swirl. But I find this single sun system enchanting, too. Naruto laced his fingers behind him, leaning back to watch the sky. I never really paid attention to how many suns a planet might have, but yeah, I guess 2 suns would look wild. He gave her a sidelong glance. I'd like to see it someday, Tamarin, I mean. If you ever go back. She gave a thoughtful sigh. I would like that as well. Though there are complicated politics. But if it becomes possible, I wish to share my home world with you. Show you the grand spires, the vibrant sky during festival times. They watched the final chunk of sun sink beneath the water line, gilding the sky with a final burst of brilliance. By the time the first stars emerged, Naruto and Starfire had closed the space between them. Her head rested lightly on his shoulder. The hush of the surf guided their breaths. When they stood and brushed off sand from their feet and clothes, the city's lights had begun popping on in the distance. High-rises glowed with warm squares of illumination, street lamps dotted the roads, and a scattering of neon signs glimmered near the boardwalk. "We should get back soon," Naruto noted, though part of him hated to call an end to the day. "But do you want to do anything else before we go? Maybe pick up a late snack for the others? Or check out one last place?" She tilted her head in thought. A snack for the team might be lovely. Perhaps some of that salty popped corn or something sweet? Popcorn's good. He grinned. "Let's see if any of those boardwalk vendors are still open." Sure enough, a small kiosk near the carnival's edge was winding down for the night but still selling kettle corn and funnel cakes. Naruto snagged a big bag of kettle corn, carefully tucking it under his arm. Starfire insisted on paying for it, claiming she wanted to reciprocate for his generosity. He let her this time, acknowledging her warm smile when she handed over a few crumpled bills. Their arms brushed as they walked, the hush of approaching night pressing gently on them. Music from the carnival rides had dwindled to a subdued hum. Most families had gone home, leaving the boardwalk dotted with a few couples or lone stragglers. The air, once warm, was taking on a crisp edge. Starfire's free hand found Naruto's. She entwined her fingers lightly, glancing at him with a hint of uncertainty. "Is this all right? Holding hands, as we walk?" He squeezed back. "More than all right, Star." They strolled across the wooden planks, gazes forward but minds on each other. At one point, an older couple sitting on a bench smiled at the sight of them, whispering something about young love. Naruto felt a pleasant flush creep across his cheeks. If this was what normal teenage romance felt like, he relished every second of it. Crossing the main bridge back to Titan's Tower, the city behind them glimmered like a reflection of the starry sky. The gentle rumble of cars passing by underscored their quiet steps. The wind was cooler out here, sweeping across the bay. Starfire let herself hover a few extra inches above the ground, content to float beside Naruto. The plush octopus was cradled under her arm, and the turquoise scarf around her shoulders caught the breeze like a small, fluttering banner. Naruto exhaled a deep sense of ease. He realized with some amusement that they'd been out nearly the entire day, from breakfast to dinner time, with no catastrophic events, no supervillain ambushes, no loud comedic mishaps. It was basically perfect. As the imposing silhouette of Titan's Tower drew closer, Starfire angled her eyes upward. "I wonder if the others are back from their errands or personal tasks." Naruto shrugged, adjusting the bag of kettle corn. "I bet Beast Boy and Cyborg are probably gaming. Raven might be reading. Robin's likely training. But I'm guessing they'll be curious about our day." She giggled. "Yes, they shall ask many nosy questions, especially Beast Boy." Her emerald gaze flickered to Naruto's face, searching. "I do not mind telling them we spent the day in each other's company, but perhaps we keep certain feelings just for ourselves for now. At least until we are ready." He nodded in understanding. "Makes sense. We'll let them guess. I'm sure that'll drive Beast Boy crazy." A faint, playful smirk formed on Starfire's lips. "I like the idea of him being teased by partial information. Especially after how he once teased me for drooling over certain Earth celebrities." They shared a conspiratorial laugh as they reached the tower's main doors. Naruto keyed in the security code. The heavy doors slid aside with a mechanical hiss, revealing the quiet interior. Lights flickered on, illuminating the spacious lobby. Inside, they did see glimmers of life, Cyborg's distinctive laugh echoing from the living room area. Possibly a video game session. A faint aura from Raven's room. Robin was nowhere immediately in sight, probably training or out on a quick recon run. They made their way to the common area. Beast Boy and Cyborg were indeed gaming, sprawled on the couch, eyes glued to the massive flat screen. Cyborg noticed them first, paused the game, and turned with an exaggerated grin. Hey, look who's back from their romantic escapade. Beast Boy twisted around, eyebrows wiggling. Oh, you two out on a date? Spill the details. He hopped up on the back of the couch. What did you do? Did you kiss? He made an over-the-top smooching face. Naruto's cheeks flared hot. He clutched the bag of kettle corn. We went out for breakfast, the boardwalk, got lunch, that's all. Chill, man. Starfire smiled sweetly. We also brought you this, she said, holding the bag aloft. Beast Boy's eyes widened. Kettle corn? Yes. He rushed over, snatching it up. Cyborg, equally excited, started rummaging for a bowl to pour it in. Nothing says love like snack time, Cyborg teased, giving them a playful wink. Raven's voice drifted from behind, at the living room's threshold. Oh, they're back. Good. She looked the pair up and down, noticing the plush octopus and the new scarf. Have fun, I take it? A gentle flush swept Starfire's face. Yes, friend Raven. It was, quite wonderful. Raven offered an almost imperceptible smile. I'm glad. Without further ado, Raven retreated to her reading nook, leaving them to the comedic assault of Beast Boy's commentary. Naruto endured it with a grin, exchanging subtle glances with Starfire. Soon enough, the group was chowing down on kettle corn, recounting the day's simpler highlights. Starfire described the Ferris wheel. Naruto recapped how they tried some carnival games. He withheld the more intimate moments, but the glow in his expression told enough of a story. Eventually, exhaustion from the day's adventures set in. Starfire excused herself first, still hugging the plush octopus close. She gave Naruto a warm, lingering look. Good night, she said softly. He nodded, heart thrumming. Night, Star. Naruto found himself in his own room, the lights dimmed to a soft glow. Through the wide window, the city's twinkling skyline beckoned. He leaned against the glass, replaying the day's memories in a dreamy haze. He recalled the gentle weight of Starfire's head on his shoulder, the taste of shared pancakes, the swirl of carnival rides, and the hush of the fancy bistro. He remembered how her laughter brightened the sea air, how the sunset painted her hair in fiery gold, how her hand felt in his. It was equal parts exhilarating and peaceful, a clarity he rarely experienced. The future might hold challenges. The life of a titan was seldom quiet, villains plotted, cataclysms arose, and cosmic threats loomed. But the knowledge that he and Starfire had found a budding connection gave him renewed resolve. He'd face whatever came next with the same unstoppable will that shaped him in the old days, only now, that will was fueled by a new, tender longing to protect what they were building together. He let out a breath, lips curving into a small smile. A faint rap on the door jolted him from his thoughts. Come in, he called. The door slid open to reveal Raven's slender silhouette. She didn't enter fully, just leaned in. Just thought you should know, she began in her calm monotone, that Starfire is in her room, humming. It's that little tune from your Ferris wheel ride, I assume. She seems happy. Her violet eyes flicked to him. Which is good. In this line of work, we need our moments of happiness. Naruto felt warmth flood his chest anew. Yeah, he said softly. Thanks, Raven. For telling me. She gave a tiny nod, almost imperceptible, and slipped away. The door closed with a soft hiss. Naruto turned back to the window, letting a gentle exhale escape. He closed his eyes, conjuring an image of Starfire's glowing smile. His heart felt lighter than it had in ages, and soon enough, lulled by the memory of Starfire's laughter, he faded into dreams as gentle as the ocean tide. The end to story.